Me. After transmigrating, in order to completely escape the rat race, I didn't become the king of singers, pursued by thousands. Instead, I shamelessly became a freeloader ridiculed by the entire internet. Just as I was about to give up and live out the rest of my life like this, my superstar wife told me she was facing a debt crisis. So, my $200,000 allowance for this month might have to be postponed. Hearing this, I felt like my heart was being squeezed. This is my lifeline. Yang Mi looked at my shocked expression. She rarely took the initiative to hold my hand. So, I need you to do me a favor. Her tone suddenly became serious. Mango TV has a reality show for married couples. The appearance fee they're offering is sky high, as long as we can participate. It won't just solve the company's urgent problem, but it will also... Stop. I immediately cut her off with a resistant look. No way. We made it clear. I don't make public appearances. I don't enter the entertainment industry. This is the basic principle of our agreement. Lin Xyun. Yang Mi's voice grew heavy. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Do it for me. For the hundreds of employees at the company, and also for your next 6 months of allowance. Please, in my mind, my salted fish persona and the golden banknotes were at war. In the end, the fear of unemployment won. I was discouraged, as if my backbone had been removed. Just this once. Also, on the show, you have to listen to me. Fine. Yang Mi's eyes lit up instantly. I dazedly went upstairs, completely oblivious to the change in the woman behind me. After I left, the sorrowful look on Yang Mi's face vanished completely, replaced by a cunning smile. She picked up her phone and called her assistant. The plan is going smoothly, he agreed. Sister Mi, is it really okay to trick him like this? The company account clearly still has hundreds of millions in cash. Yang Mi chuckled lightly. Her slender fingers swiped across a sheet of music on her tablet. If I didn't say that, how could I force this hidden dragon out into the open? That sheet music of mine has only been seen by me, you, and him. Now, besides him, who else could turn stone into gold just by looking at it once, turning a mediocre commercial song into a masterpiece? Now, the game has begun. Yang Mi's fingertip on the screen gently touched my photo. Let me see, my husband who just wants to be a salted fish. How many more secrets are you hiding? The day after I agreed to join the show, it was as if a depth charge had been dropped on the entire internet. Countless netizens were shocked that Yang Mi had kept her marriage a secret. Of course, even more people were, gritting their teeth at the main character. Me. In the villa, Yang Mi placed the tablet in front of me. The ugly comments on it were practically spilling off the screen. She wanted to see a hint of confusion or unease on my face, but I just glanced at it once, and then casually leaned back on the sofa. I even nodded in appreciation. Not bad. The public opinion has fermented quite nicely. Then I boldly faced Yang Mi's murderous gaze. Look, freeloader, pretty boy, nobody. Isn't this the highest form of recognition for my professional qualities over the past 3 years? Yang Mi felt a lump in her chest and almost fainted. I was completely unaware and instead moved closer. Oh, right. Sister Mi, when will our appearance fee be deposited? You should give me the money a little earlier. That way, my financial pressure will be lessened. Yang Mi stared at my sincere face, and for a moment couldn't tell if I was concerned about her or about my own allowance. 3 days later, in a coastal city, the production team of our romantic cabin had booked an entire seaside villa. With the arrival of Yang Mi and me, the show was officially declared to have begun. Yang Mi wore a well-tailored, high-end long dress. Her long hair fluttered in the sea breeze. Every step exuded a red carpet aura. As for me, behind her, my style was completely different. Shorts, flip-flops, an old t-shirt washed until it faded. I slowly followed behind, looking exactly like a bum on the street. The comments on the screen immediately exploded. Ha ha ha, are my eyes deceiving me? CEO Yang is on the red carpet, while her husband is on his way to the vegetable market. I am dying of laughter. This is the queen and her useless husband, right? This freeloading is just too blatant. Very quickly, the other 3 guest couples arrived one by one. Film Emperor Liu Yi and his French wife, Anna. Comedian Guo Tao and his non-celebrity wife, Li Ran, and top idol K Jing with his young girlfriend, Tong Yu. After a round of simple greetings, everyone's focus, whether intentionally or not, fell on me. Sprawled out on the sofa, Sai Jing was a top-tier, new-generation idol. He was used to being praised by everyone. Naturally, he couldn't stand a commoner who had more presence than him. He made the first move, speaking with a fake smile. Brother Xun, I've always been curious about what you do for a living that made Sister Mi hide you away like a precious treasure. As soon as this question was asked, the living room fell silent. Everyone pricked up their ears to listen. I lazily lifted my head from the sofa, facing everyone's gazes and the attention of tens of millions of viewers. I said something earth-shattering. Unemployed. Some people live off their parents. Me? I do nothing. I live off my wife. The whole set fell dead silent. The air seemed to freeze. Cai Jing's smile froze on his face. Tong Yu couldn't help it and let out a snort of laughter. Even Film Emperor Liu Ye's face showed a rare flicker of surprise, and Yang Mi's hand holding the water glass trembled slightly. The polite smile on her face vanished instantly, turning as cold as ice. It was Film Emperor Liu Yi who reacted the fastest. He quickly laughed to ease the tension. Haha, brother Linux son is so humorous. It seems for the next few days. Well, I'll have to rely on you for our meals. A stay-at-home husband's cooking skills must be pretty good, right? Everyone thought I would take the hint and back down. But who would have thought I would close my eyes and sink deeper into the sofa? I just faintly uttered 3 words. Depends on my mood. The conversation once again hit a dead end, and the next segment, unpacking the luggage, further demonstrated my salted fish nature. In other people's suitcases were carefully coordinated outfits, or expensive skincare products, or surprises prepared for their partners. When it was my turn, I slowly unzipped my tattered old backpack. Under everyone's watchful eyes, I pulled out 3 things: a U-shaped pillow, an eye mask, and a yellowed cover book, Health Regimen Guide for the Elderly. The set once again fell into a bizarre silence. Cai, Jing finally couldn't hold it in anymore. He began to mock me oddly. Brother son really lives a carefree life. Starting to research retirement at such a young age, I raised an eyelid and answered seriously. You wouldn't understand. A man has no choice but to face middle age. One must soak goji berries in a thermos. I am just planning ahead, winning at the starting line. As soon as I said this, the livestream chat erupted in laughter. Ha ha ha, he's only 25. What middle age? My grandpa doesn't focus on his health as much as he does. Sister me, hurry up and control your husband. If you don't, he's about to ascend to immortality. In the afternoon, the director team announced tonight's first task. Each couple would cooperate to complete a welcome dinner. The livestream chat immediately opened a poll. Which couple's cooking skills do you trust the least? In the end, we gloriously took first place with an overwhelming 90% of the vote. Looking at the poll results on the screen, and hearing the incessant snoring beside me, Yang Mi's patience finally reached its limit. She walked over to the lounge chair and leaned down. Shedding her usual elegant demeanor, she reached out and precisely pinched my ear. I let out a blood-curdling scream, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, and shot up from the chair. Yang Mi leaned close to my ear, lowering her voice. Every word seemed to be squeezed through her gritted teeth. Lin Nexon, if you dare to slack off again, starting from today, your allowance is cut in half. The 5 words allowance is cut in half, like an electric current, instantly shot through my muddled brain. My eyes, which were sleepy a second ago, suddenly snapped open. There wasn't a trace of laziness left in them, only the most primitive desire for money. I looked at Yang Mi's nearly frozen face. My survival instinct kicked in immediately. My leader, calm your anger, your subordinate knows his mistake. Then, I sprang up like a carp, leaping over the dragon's gate, jumping right off the lounge chair. I ran to Yang Mi's side in 2 or 3 strides. My posture was extremely low. I'll go perform right now. I guarantee I'll complete the mission. After speaking, I puffed out my chest and held my head high. I strode towards the villa's open kitchen. Yang Mi watched my determined back. The coldness on her face quietly melted away, replaced by a smile of someone enjoying a good show. The moment I stepped 1 foot into the kitchen, my entire aura changed, but I didn't rush to open the fridge. Instead, I first slowly tied the apron the production team had prepared. Then I picked up a chef's knife. My fingertip lightly flicked the spine of the blade. The blade let out a clear ringing sound. This ritualistic posture once again filled the live stream audience with question marks. No way. No way. He's starting to act again. I suspect he doesn't know how to cook at all. He's just stalling now. It's over. Sister Mi is about to die of anger. Look at how she's staring at him. At the adjacent counter, Cai Jing and Tong Yue were acting out a kitchen disaster movie. The steak was burnt black. Salad dressing was splattered everywhere. Yang glanced over and saw me still casually striking a pose. He disdainfully pouted at his follow cam. People who really know how to cook don't do these flashy tricks. Hearing this, Yang Mi just gave him a faint glance. That look was like watching a jumping clown. Finally, under everyone's watchful eyes, I made my move. Chopping vegetables, heating the pan, pouring oil, tossing the wok, stir-frying, seasoning, and finally, plating. All the movements were fluid. There wasn't a single wasted pause. In just a few short minutes, a plate of stir-fried shredded potatoes, golden in color and fragrant in aroma, was neatly placed on a plate. While talking with Anna in the living room, Liu Yi took a deep breath. He couldn't help but peek his head out, following the scent. Who is that? What's being made? It smells so good. Guo Tao just stood up directly, craning his neck to look into the kitchen. My god. This smell is incredible. Which master chef is here? Cai Jing stared blankly at the lump of charcoal in his pan, then looked at the potato dish on my plate that could be considered a work of art. He was completely dumbfounded. He swallowed hard. He could feel his cheeks burning, facing everyone's astonished gazes. Yang Mi finally walked slowly to the dining table. She picked up her chopsticks, took a shred of potato, and tasted it. Only then did she casually comment, "It's okay. Just home cooking level." As soon as these words were spoken, the comments in the livestream chat weren't just sour anymore. They were practically soaking in a vat of vinegar, rubbing salt in the wound. Is she trying to rub salt in the wound? Sister Mi. I get it now. I get it. I finally understand why Sister Mai hid him away. Meanwhile, I had already started on the second dish. I wiped my hands, glanced at the person next to me who was still struggling with that piece of black charcoal, Kai Jing, and then offered a reminder. Hey, buddy, if you don't take your steak out, it's not going to be medium rare anymore. Hearing that, Kai Jing reflexively breathed a sigh of relief, but my next sentence directly made him collapse on the spot. It'll be the charcoal discovered by archaeologists, left behind by Pan Ju when he created the heavens and earth. Comedian Guo Tao was the first to lose it. He burst out laughing. Hi Jing's handsome face instantly turned as red as a pig's liver. The hand holding the spatula was trembling. Dinner began. At the long wooden dining table, the atmosphere was magical. In the center were the 4 dishes I had made: stir-fried shredded potatoes, mapo tofu, diced stir-fried potatoes, and braised mashed potatoes. 4 ordinary, home-style dishes, but their aroma was unreasonably domineering, making people's mouths water. And in the most obscure corner of the table, a single dish sat alone, pitch black, stiff, emitting a faint burnt smell. The comments in the live stream chat were laughing like crazy. I feel bad for the steak. What did it do wrong? It was just born in the wrong kitchen. This comparison is just too tragic. It's a public execution. Kai Jing's face alternated between red and white. To save face, he picked up his knife and fork, trying to cut a small piece of his creation, pretending to elegantly put it in his mouth. Then he forced a stiff smile for the camera. The taste actually isn't bad. Crispy on the outside, tender on the inside. It has a lot of depth. After he finished speaking, his cheeks began to move at a high frequency. 1, 2, 3 times. He chewed for a full half-minute. His jaw was already sore, but the piece of steak remained stubborn. Seeing this, Guo Tao's hearty laughter broke the awkwardness. He was the first to pick up his chopsticks, his target clearly aimed at the plate of mapo tofu, glistening with red chili oil. A large piece of tofu along with minced meat and sauce was put into his mouth. Guo Tao's eyes immediately widened. He excitedly slapped his thigh. Oh my god. This too. Tofu is incredible. His exaggerated reaction immediately aroused everyone's appetite. Everyone picked up their chopsticks one after another. Unsurprisingly, they all received praise. Of course, except for Kai Jing. Watching everyone eat like hungry tigers, Yang Mi maintained her elegance. She slowly used a napkin to wipe the corner of her mouth. Then she looked up and glanced at me. Today's performance was average. The heat was a little too high. Not as good as the meal you made for my last birthday. As soon as she said this, the air froze for a second. Guo Tao, who was eating like crazy, and Kai Jing had the same reaction. You call this average? So were they eating pig slop just now? The livestream chat was directly flooded with the 3 words humble brag filling the screen. Rubbing salt in the wound. Is she trying to rub salt in the wound? Sister Me, I finally understand. The queen didn't come to participate in a dating show. She came to show off her husband. Faced with Yang Mi's almost harsh pickiness, everyone thought I would be embarrassed or retort, but I didn't even frown. Instead, I obediently nodded. My face even held a doting smile. The leader is right. It was a bit rushed. I'll be more careful next time. I naturally continued and added, I'll cook for you separately when we get home. I'll make the 9-turn large intestine dish to make it up to you. Boom. This cook for you separately. This make it up to you. It was like a sweet bomb, blossoming in the hearts of the couple's fans. Ah, my ship has sailed. I am shipping them like crazy. What kind of fairy tale love is this? Normally a queen outside, but a pampered little wife at home. I love this script. After eating and drinking his fill, Guo Tao wiped his mouth with a napkin. He looked at Kai Jing next to him, who had gone from a human rice bucket to an autistic state, and laughingly stood up to mediate. Just eating is too boring. Come on, let's move to the living room. Let's have some after-dinner entertainment. Whoever has a talent, don't hide it anymore. Let the livestream audience enjoy the show too. For Kai Jing, these words were like a drowning person grabbing a lifebuoy. His dim eyes lit up instantly. Then I'll start by showing my humble skills. I happen to have written a theme song for my new album. Today, I'll borrow this opportunity to sing for the seniors and the friends in the livestream chat. Then he walked to the middle of the living room and chose from the instruments the production team had prepared. An expensive Martin guitar. He sat on a high stool in a professional posture. His girlfriend, Tong Yue, instantly transformed into his #1 fan. She held her phone up in front of him, excitedly making hearts at the livestream camera. Is everyone ready? You're about to enjoy the exclusive global premiere of the new song, Lark by Kai Jing. Everyone in the living room politely applauded. They watched him expectantly. Except for me. After eating, I had found the deepest corner of the sofa and sunk into it. Yang Mi glanced at me. The corner of her lips curved into a helpless and amused arc, but she didn't say anything, silently watching the show. Kai Jing sang a song, an electronic dance track with a strong rhythm. The melody was catchy. The arrangement was a typical Korean-style industrialized product. After listening to 3 lines, one could guess the direction of the chorus. The song ended. Kai Jing strummed the final chord and struck a handsome finishing pose. Tong Yue was the first to scream and run up to hug him. Film Emperor Liu Yi politely applauded. He gave an impeccable comment. It's a very mature industrialized work. The level of completion is very high. Guo Tao joked cheerfully. Not bad. Not bad. Listening to it makes even these old bones of mine want to shake a little, although the industry insider's comments were lukewarm. This performance finally helped Cai Jing regain some face after the disastrous failure in the kitchen. The passionate pursuit of his fans made him regain the confidence of a top idol. That familiar, arrogant smile returned to his face. He subconsciously looked towards the corner of the sofa, wanting to see astonishment on my face. The result was just seeing me nodding off, about to fall asleep. Tong Yu, next to him, spoke up directly. She said to Yang Mi with a hint of showing off. Sister Mi, our Ki Jing is really talented in music, unlike some people who only know how to cook. Go Tao, who loved to stir up trouble, walked over with a wicked smile and nudged me. X-un, don't sleep. Let's hear your review of the new song by our superstar Ki Jing. I groggily opened my eyes, looking around in a daze, then I let out a long yawn. I rubbed my eyes. I seemed to be recalling what I had just heard. Then, in an extremely sincere tone, I said, it's very nice. Hearing this, the corner of Ki Jing's mouth quirked up slightly. I hesitated for a moment and added with a serious expression, the rhythm is strong, and the melody is easy to remember. If you play it in a residential square, the grandpas and grandmas will definitely love it. Poofed! Guo Tao was the first to lose it. He spat out a mouthful of water. Liu Yi couldn't hold it in either. His shoulders shook violently. He finally just covered his face and laughed out loud. Yang Mi bent over even more directly. Her clear laughter echoed in the living room. She even laughed until tears came to her eyes. As for Ki Jing, his face was now even darker than the steak from earlier. He clenched his fists, his nails digging deep into his palms. He felt this was a humiliation. He gritted his teeth. He asked back, word by word. So, in teacher Lin Xun's opinion, what kind of music isn't considered square dancing background music? He was issuing a challenge. He wanted to force me to make a fool of myself in his professional field of music. Everyone's gaze, including the attention of tens of millions of viewers in the live stream chat, instantly focused on me. However, I just lifted my eyelids and glanced at him indifferently. There was no emotion in that gaze, as if looking at an unimportant stranger. I didn't say anything. I just hugged the velvet cushion in my arms tighter, shifted to a more comfortable position, and closed my eyes. The living room was deathly quiet. It wasn't silence, but a string stretched to its limit, about to snap. Ki Jing froze on the spot. The guitar in his lap felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds. His handsome face, which he had always been proud of, was now just a pale color of shame. The comments in the livestream chat went completely wild. Rubbing salt in the wound. Is he trying to rub salt in the wound? I declare, this is the most epic flex I have ever seen. No arguments accepted. Ci Jing, I feel like in the next second, he's going to rush up for a real-life fight with Brother Xun. Liu Yi and Guo Tao exchanged a helpless glance. No one dared to speak at this critical moment. Tong Yue was so worried she was about to cry, awkwardly tugging at Ki Jing's shirt, but she couldn't say a word. In this frozen atmosphere, Yang Mi, who had been leaning back on the single sofa, watching the show, finally made a move. She stood up and leisurely walked to the middle of the living room. Her gaze fell directly on Ki Jing. Superstar Ki, comparing yourself with my husband, isn't that beneath you? A seemingly light sentence was like a sledgehammer blow to Ki Jing's heart. Without waiting for his response, Yang Mi casually added, he's just a stay-at-home husband. All he thinks about every day is firewood, rice, oil, and salt. Talking to him about music, isn't that like playing a harp for a cow? She tilted her head slightly, the corner of her lips turning up. How could he understand the profound things that great artists like you pursue? These words sounded like she was defending me, completely classifying me as someone who doesn't understand music. But everyone in the living room was sharp, who couldn't hear the sarcasm in her words. Cai Jing's expression immediately became a few shades uglier. He wanted to retort, but found himself choked up, unable to say a word. After successfully pinning H-in down with a few sentences, Yang Mi finally turned around and aimed her spear at the man, who had been lying on the sofa from start to finish. She walked to the sofa, looking down at me. Her beautiful fox eyes glinted with a teasing light. However, only knowing how to cook is indeed a bit monotonous, she said with a faint smile, her voice not loud, but it carried clearly throughout the living room. Someone, at home, doesn't he love wearing headphones the most, shaking his head and criticizing while listening to music, saying this is commercial music, that is whining without reason, also saying the current charts are unwatchable, all musical garbage. This sudden everyday exposé was like a stone thrown into a calm lake. It immediately created 1,000 ripples. Everyone's curiosity was piqued. Yang Mi gave me no chance to react at all. She continued to press on, step by step, setting a trap for me in front of the entire nation's audience. If your taste is so high, your eyes so discerning, then why don't you sing a profound song for us to hear? She leaned in closer. Her voice carried a hint of provocation. Let everyone broaden their horizons and see what kind of music isn't suitable for playing in the square. Hearing that, I finally couldn't pretend anymore. I slowly opened one eye, revealing a who am I? Where am I? Innocent expression. I can't sing. Leader. You know this. I am completely tone deaf. My singing could send someone to their grave. Yang Mi looked at me, still struggling in desperation. She knew that conventional weapons were useless. It was time to unleash the ultimate weapon. She leaned down again, her red lips almost touching my ear. How about this? If you can sing a song that satisfies me, I'll double your allowance next month. Hearing these words, I suddenly sat bolt upright on the sofa. Those always lazy eyes suddenly widened. Is that true? Yang Mi met my gaze. She raised an eyebrow elegantly. The whole country is watching. Receiving an affirmative answer, I slowly stood up from the sofa. Then, for the prosperity and economic stability of our family, and also to inject a little vitality into the stagnant Chinese music scene, I will reluctantly show off my humble skills today. After casually picking up a nearby guitar, I sat down on the high stool. The moment I sat down, the atmosphere in the entire living room seemed to freeze. The lazy, money-grubbing man from a second ago had vanished without a trace. In his place was a man with an aura, so powerful it could isolate everything. I didn't say another unnecessary word. I just lowered my head. My fingers swept across the strings simply and cleanly. A simple and clear intro rang out. This melody had a strange magic. The entire villa instantly quieted down. Guo Tao, who had been wanting to watch the excitement just now, the smile on his face unknowingly disappeared. Tong Yue, who had been worried about her boyfriend, also forgot her nervousness, sat quietly, holding their breath. After the musical intro, I slowly began to sing into the microphone. Could be heard. My singing voice wasn't intentionally tragic, but it made people feel a bone-chilling loneliness more profound than any wail. It was a moment that every person struggling in a big city has experienced. It's the loneliness of working late, seeing thousands of lit windows, but knowing not a single one is lit for you. It's the bewilderment after a party ends, walking alone in the cold wind, enveloped by an immense emptiness. The comments in the live stream room came to a strange standstill at this moment. The taunts and prepared jokes were all stuck in their throats, unable to type a single word. Liu Yes' eyes reddened without warning. He recalled his younger days, the years spent striving for his dreams. Guo Tao suddenly lowered his head, forcefully wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. This comedian, always cheerful on stage, remembered leaving his hometown in the Northeast all those years ago. His mother, standing on the platform, chasing the train, crying while calling his name. Lei Sol. Cai Jing was completely stunned. He stood there, frozen. The Martin guitar he was so proud of had now become a joke in his heart. The song ended. I sang the last note, my fingertips gently pressing the strings. The world returned to silence. I said nothing, just sat there quietly, as if the seasoned poet who had just sung his life story had reverted to being that quiet man. The dead silence at the scene lasted for more than 10 seconds. No one clapped. No one said a word. Any sound at this moment would have felt redundant and blasphemous. Finally, Liu Yi was the first to break the silence. He stood up, his voice trembling uncontrollably as he spoke. Brother Lin X's son, thank you. The song you sang tonight. He hesitated for a moment, as if searching for the most precise words. This is poetry. It's life. It's the glass of wine that every lonely wanderer raises to themselves in the dead of night. This praise was as heavy as Mount Tai, directly putting a divine seal on tonight's performance. Faced with this ultimate praise, I acted like an outsider, hopping down from the high stool and giving a long stretch. Then, under everyone's complicated gazes, I trotted over to Yang Mi, rubbing my hands together. That handsome face wore a fawning and eager expression. Leader, I've finished singing. You're satisfied, right? So, about that 400,000. The atmosphere froze for a second. PFAT. Ha ha ha. Oh, I can't take it anymore. Guo Tao, who had just been wiping his tears, completely broke character. He laughed so hard he slid off the sofa, clutching his stomach and howling with laughter. Even the always composed Liu Yi couldn't help but shake his head, his face a mixture of helplessness and amusement. Then, he solemnly extended his hand, looking at me seriously with the posture of an equal. Brother Lin X's, I was truly enlightened today. If it's convenient, let's exchange contact information. If there's a chance in the future, I will definitely ask you for a song, regardless of the price. The weight of these words was understood by everyone present. This was no longer a senior supporting a junior, but the highest recognition from a king, in one field for a genius in another. Before I could answer, Guo Tao scrambled up from the floor. He threw an arm around my shoulders, shaking me, half-jokingly pressing, "Little brother, you've hidden yourself too well. Spit it out. How many more talents do you have that we don't know about? If you still don't tell the truth, I'll eat all the braised pork you made." This threat successfully made a wary expression appear on my face. I immediately switched back to my usual salted fish mode, letting out a long yawn. That's it. Really. That's it. Not a single drop left. In this clamor, only Cai Jing was like a puppet whose soul had been ripped out. He stood in the corner, his face pale. The Martin guitar he was once so proud of was carelessly thrown to the ground by him, becoming trash. He didn't join any of the discussions, nor did he pay attention to the worried calls of his girlfriend, Dong Yu. He just stared at me blankly. his gaze a mixture of shock and unwillingness to accept defeat, along with the bewilderment of being completely crushed. Then he silently turned around and quietly walked back to his room. Slam. A heavy door closing sound declared the complete end of a top idol's pride. That night's livestream ended in such a strange atmosphere, but all the viewers knew this was just the beginning. By now, I had also returned to the bedroom. The door closed, isolating all the cameras and sounds from outside. The atmosphere in the room changed instantly. Yang Mi didn't, as usual, go remove her makeup or handle work. She just stood by the bed with her arms crossed. Her stunningly beautiful face was expressionless, but I keenly sensed an unusual sense of pressure. I knew something was about to happen. Lin Exun. Yang Mi spoke, calling me by my full name for the first time. Her voice lacked its usual teasing tone, containing only cold scrutiny. Stop pretending with me. Who are you, really? In the darkness, Yang Mi's eyes were like two scalpels, wanting to dissect me cleanly from the inside out. The story about your family owning a restaurant and being nauseated by the smell of grease since you were a child, that was a lie, wasn't it? She took a step forward, her aura at full force. A person who can't even stand the smoke in the kitchen could never write the sober one is the most absurd. I am busted. That was the first thought that popped into my head. The queen is angry. I probably won't get through this today. I sat down on the edge of the bed, running my hands through my hair, scratching it in frustration. All right, I admit that story was made up. I looked up, looking at the imposing woman before me. My eyes showed a hint of complexity. I was a little different since I was a child. I chose my words, beginning to spin a lie, a completely new one, but one that sounded more plausible. I am very sensitive to things like sounds, melodies, and words. I learn things ridiculously fast. Others might take a year to learn guitar. I can play it after a week of messing with it. Songs I've heard, sheet music I've seen once, I basically can't forget them. Let's just call it a natural talent. I hesitated a bit, my voice carrying a hint of self-mockery. But you can't eat this stuff. I tried singing in bars. People said my songs were too gloomy, not lively enough. I also tried sending my work to record companies. They said my lyrics were too convoluted, not commercial enough, that I couldn't get famous. I wanted to find a decent job, but I don't have any proper qualifications. After a while, I got lazy and didn't want to struggle anymore. These words of mine were half truth, half lie, yet they accurately touched upon all the pain points of a talented genius who never got his break. I looked at Yang Mi. Her scrutinizing eyes wavered slightly, so I played my most important card. My tone suddenly changed, from the earlier loneliness to eloquence, even carrying a bit of the nonchalance of a salted fish turning over. Until I met you, I suddenly discovered that there's actually such a promising career as being a freeloader, and it suits me perfectly. I thought, if I already have a capable wife, like you out there battling in the world, why should I still have to work so hard to prove what I can do to those fools? Can the things I know make more money than you? Isn't it nice to just lie down? This earth-shattering freeloader manifesto left even Yang Mi stunned. She had anticipated all my explanations, either hiding something or confessing a shocking secret, but she never thought that I would talk about freeloading in such an unworldly, matter-of-fact way. After speaking, not only did I not feel guilty, but I stood up and counterattacked. I walked up to Yang Mi, leaning down slightly to meet her gaze. My face held an unprecedented seriousness. So, leader, do these little talents of mine that occasionally slip out affect the stability of this homemaker job? If they do, rest assured, I promise to hide them very carefully in the future. I will absolutely not cause you any more trouble. I accurately kicked the ball back into her court. Yang Mi was completely speechless. She looked at this face so close to hers, those usually lazy eyes were now crystal clear. She couldn't tell, in these words, how much was real and how much was fake. The air in the room froze. After a long moment, Yang Mi managed to say through gritted teeth, "Next month's 400,000 is gone." After saying that, she didn't look at me again, turned and walked into the bathroom. A slam. The bathroom door was shut, leaving me with her charming back. I was left alone, facing the empty, luxurious bedroom. My earlier straightforward and roguish demeanor instantly collapsed. My facial muscles twitched. It was the heartache of losing 400,000. Just as I was mourning my lost assets, a click was heard in the bedroom. The bathroom door opened. Yang Mi walked out from the billowing steam. I instinctively looked up, and my breath hitched for a moment. She was wrapped only in a white bath towel that reached her knees. Her long, wet hair was draped over her fragrant shoulders, a few strands clinging to the beautiful curve of her neck. Transparent water droplets were slowly sliding down her collarbone, disappearing into the captivating cleavage created by the towel. The dim yellow light from the headboard shone on her, casting a soft glow on her skin, which was whiter than snow. Those long, straight legs were exposed in the air without any cover, so white they were dazzling. The words 400,000 were instantly wiped from my mind, leaving only a blank space. I swear, in the past 3 years, this was definitely the closest I've come to a life-threatening situation. Yang Mi seemed completely oblivious to the dumbstruck expression of the man on the bed. She absently dried her hair with a towel while pacing around the room. Her mood was very conflicted because of hearing my freeloader declaration, and now, Because she had deducted my 400,000, she felt an indescribable guilt. She shook her head, wanting to shake off this ridiculous feeling. Her gaze casually swept across the room, passing over the wardrobe, the dressing table, finally stopping on the only large bed in the middle of the room. Yang Mi's hair-drying motion froze. Her whole body was as if someone had hit the pause button. The bed. One bed. Her mind buzzed, as if hit by a sledgehammer. How could she forget such an important thing? For the past 3 years, to abide by the agreement, she had always slept in a separate room from me and her villa, keeping to our own sides. This had become a deeply ingrained habit, but this was the house arranged by the production team, a reality show about couples. How could the production team possibly prepare 2 bedrooms for a loving couple? A rush of hot air shot from the soles of her feet to the top of her head. Yang Mi felt her cheeks heating up at a visible rate. She abruptly turned her head to look at the man on the bed hugging a pillow, who was looking at her with a pure and innocent expression. That expression seemed to say, "Ah, leader, you've noticed the problem too, huh?" Yang Mi's internal defenses trembled violently at this moment. She tried to suppress the panic in her heart, regaining her decisive, formidable, queenly demeanor. "Go sleep on the sofa." I followed the direction she was pointing, glancing at the small, expensive-looking single sofa in the corner, but it was clearly just for decoration. I sat up from the bed, a difficult expression on my face. "Leader, look at this sofa. I am over 180 centimeters tall. I can't even straighten my legs on it." I continued acting with a pained expression. "If I sleep on this for one night, I'll wake up tomorrow with either a herniated disc or a dislocated cervical vertebra. At that point, forget about cooking. You might even have to feed me." Yang Mi's eyebrow twitched violently. Just as she was about to say something, I didn't give her a chance to rebut, eloquently listing my contributions. "Besides, look how hard I worked today." I counted them off on my fingers. "For the sake of our family's face, I endured the pressure of competing against a top idol. For your mission, I even brought out a well-hidden original song. My throat is about to go hoarse. Both my mind and body have been severely traumatized." I clutched my chest with a wronged expression. "And now, a great hero who has worked so hard like me, can't even get a bed to sleep on? Leader, how can you be so heartless? If the whole country finds out, they'll say you're abusing your house husband." This combo of mine left Yang Mi speechless. This bastard. How can he be so shamelessly eloquent? And with such a tragic air, too. The 2 of them, separated by a large bed, were in a strange standoff. One wrapped in a towel, heaving with anger. The other sitting properly by the bed, with an innocent gaze, shamelessly refusing to leave the bed. In the tense, awkward, and ambiguous atmosphere, various breaths mixed together, causing the temperature in the room to rise bit by bit. In the end, Yang Mi gave in. She discovered that her prized eloquence and aura were completely useless in front of this man. She gritted her teeth and walked quickly to the wardrobe as if to vent her anger. She rummaged inside and pulled out a Hermes silk scarf she often used, then walked to the bed and forcefully threw the silk scarf into the middle of the bed. The soft, elegant silk scarf on the large bed drew a 38th parallel that was both slender and fragile. "You can sleep here." She pointed at the line, declaring fiercely, "But you can't cross the line." She emphasized her tone, deploying her final weapon. "If you dare cross the line, don't even think about getting a single cent of allowance for the next 6 months." I looked at the silk scarf that, with just a turn, could be rendered non-existent, my heart blooming with joy, but I still muttered under my breath. "This bed is so wide, it's like the great rift valley is between us. Besides, who can control themselves when they're asleep at night? What if I accidentally roll over?" Yang Mi's face instantly flushed red from her cheeks to her ears. Roll over. That choice of words was truly roguish. She was both embarrassed and angry. Her mind went blank, her body reacting before her reason could. She grabbed a soft bolster pillow from the bed and threw it with all her might, straight at my hateful face. "Shut up. If you say one more word, get out and sleep on the floor right now." I reacted extremely quickly, easily leaning aside to dodge it, and smoothly catching the thrown pillow in my arms. The pillow still carried the sweet, pure scent from Yang Mi's body. I chuckled, obediently shutting my mouth, and lay down in satisfaction. A victory. Yang Mi looked at my smug, triumphant expression, and gritted her teeth in anger, but she was helpless against me. She could only turn and go into the walk-in closet, slamming the door. I lay on the bed, placing the fragrant pillow under my head, and let out a contented sigh. A moment later, the closet door opened again. Yang Mi had changed into a conservative silk pajama set. She walked out with an icy expression. Not looking left or right, she lifted her side of the blanket and lay down rigidly, her body as stiff as a steel plate, trying her best to stay far away from the Chu-Han River in the middle. The bedroom was dead silent. Yang Mi's body was as stiff as an iron plate, lying right on the edge of the bed, almost about to fall off. That slender Hermes silk scarf was the Chu-Han River she had drawn. It was also her final psychological line of defense, but her senses had already betrayed her. The presence of the heat source beside her was too intense. A masculine scent, a mix of grassy body wash, and the smell of sunshine, was aggressively invading her territory, leaving her flustered and distracted. She was rehearsing 100 plans in her head. If he dared cross the line, she would kick him off the bed. As a result, In less than 3 minutes, a steady and deep breathing sound came from beside her. The sound was stable and low, carrying the peace of someone unconcerned with worldly affairs. He's asleep. Sleeping like a log. This huge contrast made Yang Mi feel a tightness in her chest. She was both angry and amused. She opened her eyes and stared at the blurry silhouette of the magnificent crystal chandelier on the ceiling. Heartless jerk. She cursed silently in her heart. The quieter it got, the more vividly the images swirled in her mind. My masterful knife skills in the kitchen, me singing with a guitar under the lights, the radiant focus while singing Chow Chow, and also the eloquent shamelessness when I was playing the victim, along with the fawning mention of 400,000. These images replayed over and over in her head, impossible to banish. She discovered that this man, this contract husband she thought she had under complete control, was, in a way she couldn't comprehend, completely occupying all her thoughts. Time passed. Just as Yang Mi's consciousness was hazily drifting off to sleep, an unannounced midnight earthquake erupted. The man sleeping like the dead beside her suddenly turned over. The large, soft bed shook violently with him. The Hermes silk scarf, symbolizing the queen's last shred of dignity, under my strong body, was easily crushed and crumpled, instantly becoming nothing. My whole body rolled over without any obstruction. Yang Mi's body instantly stiffened. The next second, an incredibly hot arm naturally rested on her waist. Immediately after, a messy head of hair moved closer. Warm breath puffed rhythmically onto the back of her ear and neck, her most sensitive area. It tickled so much, her scalp went numb. This zero-distance contact was like an electric current, instantly shattering all of Yang Mi's psychological defenses. Her heart suddenly stopped beating. Then it immediately began to pound crazily like a war drum. Each beat against her chest made her eardrums ring. She was even ridiculously worried that this heartbeat would wake up the guy sleeping like the dead next to her. For the past 3 years, she had been like a lone female warrior, fighting in the jungle of business and human hearts, long accustomed to the cold. This was the first time she discovered that towards a man's closeness, not only was she not repulsed, but she actually felt a sense of security and protection. This feeling made her both panicked and mesmerized. Push him away or let it be, this internal battle lasted for 10 minutes. In the end, the deep-seated desire for warmth won out over the so-called contract and reason. She gave up resisting. Her tense shoulders relaxed. Her rigid back also gradually softened, tacitly accepting the posture that almost enveloped her completely. Just as her nerves completely relaxed and she was about to adapt, I, in my sleep, suddenly tightened my arm, pulling her deeper, tighter into my embrace, and buried my face deeper into the crook of her neck. Then I smacked my lips and mumbled some indistinct sleep talk. My 400,000. So soft. So soft. These words were like 2 bolts of lightning, exploding in Yang Mi's mind. She instantly understood. This bastard, who was taking full advantage of her, basically saw her in his dream as a soft pillow stuffed with 400,000 inches cash. Whoosh. Yang Mi's face, from her cheeks to her earlobes, turned so red it looked like it could bleed. Both embarrassed and furious, she wished she could immediately turn around and strangle him on the spot, but my embrace was truly warm. After giving up her resistance, Yang Mi, with an indescribably complex mood, fell into a deep sleep in the warm, solid embrace of this bastard. The night grew deeper. In the stillness of everything, my eyelashes, belonging to the one supposedly fast asleep, suddenly fluttered. The next second, I slowly opened my eyes. In the darkness, my eyes were crystal clear, without a trace of sleepiness. I lowered my head to look at the woman sleeping peacefully in my arms, feeling her steady breath on my chest. The corner of my mouth curved into a meaningful arc. I hugged the pillow in my arms a little tighter, and by her ear, in a voice only I could hear, I said slowly, "My queen, gotcha." A ray of sunlight pierced through the curtains, landing on Yang Mi's face. Her eyelashes fluttered. She woke up from a deep sleep. Her mind was still hazy. She only felt enveloped by a secure presence, incredibly warm. So comfortable, she wanted to linger a little longer. The next second, she suddenly became wide awake. The scene before her eyes made her mind go blank instantly. Her whole body was like a cooked shrimp. Limbs wrapped around me, her cheek pressed against my firm, warm chest. Social death. This was the only phrase in her head right now. She wanted to spring away, to escape, as if touched by a hot iron. But any big movement could wake up the bastard beside her. Just the thought of me catching her in the act sent a numbing sense of shame through her scalp. Yang Mi began a silent prison break. She held her breath, her movements as gentle as defusing a bomb. Inch by inch, trying to pull her arm from under my neck, then lift her leg. The process was maddeningly slow. Cold sweat had already soaked her back. Just as her toes were about to touch the edge of the bed, about to successfully escape, from above her, a teasing voice sounded without warning. "Leader, so passionate this early in the morning?" I opened my eyes at just the right moment, looking down at the woman in my arms, who was frozen and blushing furiously. Yang Mi was completely petrified. I blinked innocently, and continued to rub salt in the wound. "Oh my. Leader, you crossed the line." I jutted my chin towards the Hermes silk scarf, which had long been crumpled into a ball. "The contract doesn't say you're allowed to get handsy with me." I paused, my expression turning serious, my tone revealing an unreasonable accusation. Does this count as workplace harassment? You're talking nonsense. Yang, Miss Brain froze. Both embarrassed and angry, her language system completely collapsed. She had crossed the line. She had wrapped her limbs around me. She couldn't argue her way out of it, even with 100 mouths. In the end, all the shame, anger, regret, and madness turned into the most primitive physical action. Using all her strength, she lifted her leg and kicked hard, kicking the bastard who'd gotten lucky and was still acting smug off the bed. Thump. I yelped. Aya. Rolling off the bed with the force, and landed on the carpet. But I wasn't angry at all. On the contrary, I grinned while clutching my waist and starting the second act. Murdering my husband. My voice was not too loud. Not too soft, just wronged enough for the other person to hear clearly. This waist of mine was your pillow all night. It was hard and uncomfortable. And now look. You kicked me straight off the bed. How am I supposed to live like this? I demand compensation. I am demanding workers' compensation. Yang Mi looked at me playing the victim on the floor, her chest heaving violently with anger. She grabbed a pillow from the bed and threw it with all her might. Shut up. Get out. I easily caught it, hugging the pillow and chuckling. I scrambled up from the floor and obediently slipped out of the bedroom. The door closed, leaving only Yang Mi in the room. She collapsed back onto the bed, exhausted, pulling the blanket over her burning face. The air seemed to still hold. The fresh, grassy scent from my body, mixed with a flustering ambiguity after all the teasing and flirting. At the breakfast table, the live stream camera turned on again. The atmosphere was completely different from yesterday. Liu Yi and Guo Tao looked at me, with expressions of increased admiration and scrutiny. Tai Jing didn't appear. Dong Yue just said he wasn't feeling well and wouldn't be filming today. But everyone knew clearly, it was his heart that wasn't well. I acted as if nothing had happened, bringing out the meticulously prepared breakfast. The interaction at the table was incredibly subtle in the eyes of the audience. I ladled a bowl of porridge, thoughtfully placing it in front of Yang Mi. Then I gave her a look that only the two of them would understand and said leisurely, "Leader, did you sleep well last night? I think your complexion looks great today. Your dark circles are gone too." Cough. 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 A mouthful of porridge got stuck in Yang Mi's throat. She almost spat it out on the spot. She choked until her face turned bright red, a pink flush quickly spreading to her ears. She didn't dare to answer, much less look at me. She could only shoot me a sharp glare, then lowered her head and stirred the porridge in her bowl with a spoon. This scene was perfectly captured by the livestream camera. The comments immediately exploded. Ah. Something definitely happened. Everyone, look at Sister Miss blushing face. That look from Lin Xun. Damn, he's teasing the queen. He actually dares. What on earth happened last night? Why do I feel like the vibe between them has completely changed? Lin Xun has turned from a serf into the master. While the livestream audience was wildly speculating, the insistent ringing of a phone broke the silence of the dining room. Yang Mi's phone, which was on the table, the screen lit up crazily at the same time. The huge wave caused by last night's song, after fermenting overnight, had become a storm. Now, the storm had arrived. Yang Mi's flushed face was instantly covered in a layer of frost. She picked up her phone. On the screen was a scene like the apocalypse. On the top right corner of the WeChat icon, the number 99 plus was a dazzling red. In the call log, a long list of missed calls was shockingly bright red. From CEOs and company shareholders to friends in the industry, it seemed like her entire contact list had called her. She swiped the screen. Before her fingertips could even tap on any chat box, a call from someone saved as CEO Zhang took over the entire interface. The major shareholder of Wang Yu Entertainment, an old fox on a normal day, whom she only met during board meetings. Yang Mi forced herself to calm down, then pressed the answer button. As soon as the call connected, CEO Zhang's powerful voice exploded from the receiver. CEO Yang. What's wrong with you? Your husband, Lin Xun, is such a big shot, and you hid him from me for 3 whole years. Do you know that the outside world has been turned upside down? Everyone is asking who Lin Xun is. My old friends are about to blow up my phone. They're all asking if I can contact him to request a song. Are you hiding an atomic bomb in your house as decoration? Yang Mi gripped her phone, her knuckles turning white. As she dealt with the shareholders' questioning, she glanced at the WeChat messages continuously popping up. Di Li Reba. Sister? Brother Xun. Damn. He's speechless. Did you hold a gun to his head to make him write that song? Xiao Cho? It's too amazing. It wasn't just her. The staff and artists under her, as if on cue, used a series of emojis and question marks to express their extreme astonishment. The whole world was in an uproar. It was boiling over. Yet the center of the storm was calmly peeling a tea leaf egg. I slowly peeled off the entire shell, revealing the smooth egg white, then put it in my mouth, eating it in small bites. As if all of this had nothing to do with me, I even had the spare time to look up. Using the tone of a caring subordinate, I kindly reminded her, "Boss, the porridge is getting cold. Drinking it cold isn't good for your stomach." I paused for a moment and added in an extremely sincere tone, "Don't just worry about business deals worth hundreds of billions. An army marches on its stomach. Fill your belly first before striving for success." Yang Mi almost couldn't breathe. Did this bastard know that he himself was a walking gold mine worth hundreds of billions? She looked up and shot me a sharp glare, her eyes like daggers. You just wait. Then she lowered her head, continuing to struggle in the sea of information. Just then, another call came in. When she saw the name on the caller ID, Miss Heart skipped a beat. Na Ying, the unshakable queen of the Chinese music scene. She didn't dare to delay, quickly clearing her throat before answering the phone. Sister Na. Good morning. What good morning? Yang Mi, you're not being very nice. The characteristic straightforward and domineering voice of Na Ying came through. It carried an unconcealed admiration and excitement. Hiding a genius like that, keeping him under wraps for 3 years. What are you planning? Waiting for him to lay a golden egg? I've heard that song, Xiao Chao. I listened to it over and over all night. The lyrics are vicious. It stabbed me right in the heart. Where is this kid? I want to meet him. Now. Right away. Na Ying's tone allowed no room for doubt. In the end, she even asked half jokingly, half seriously. Tell me, Xiao Chao, are you selling it? Name a price. I'll buy it. This phone call was like a sledgehammer, completely waking Yang Mi up. Only then did she truly realize what I had casually thrown out last night was, in fact, an existence on a whole other level. This was no longer a simple matter of becoming famous or going viral. This was a tsunami big enough to make the entire Chinese music industry tremble. She hung up the phone with a headache, warily rubbing her temples, feeling like her mind was a jumbled mess. Who was that, making you look so serious? My punchable face leaned in close again, my face filled with pure curiosity. Yang Mi no longer had the energy to be angry with me. She weakly uttered 2 words. Na Ying. I tilted my head and thought for a moment. Then a look of realization appeared on my face. I remember now. She's that judge on the show who always props up her chin and asks, "What is your dream?" I even imitated the pose. Finally, I concluded with a sentence. Her voice is really loud. Yang Mi was completely speechless. She discovered that the logic, eloquence, and aura she had always been proud of, in front of this man with his strange way of thinking, were completely useless. It was impossible to communicate. After forcing herself to answer more than a dozen important phone calls, Yang Mi was finally exhausted. She placed her phone face down on the dining table. The world was finally quiet for a moment. She looked up towards the salted fish across from her who had long since eaten and drunk his fill, and was now holding a toothpick. After a long moment, she let out a long sigh, as if to release all the pride and pretense of the past 3 years. She relaxed her tense shoulders, letting go of her queenly aura, adopting a posture that even she found unfamiliar, one that even carried a hint of fatigue and a plea for help. She spoke softly. Lin Exun. I didn't answer right away. I just tilted my head. My eyes, which always held a hint of teasing, were now calmly looking at her. Yang Mi felt a bit unnatural under my gaze. Just as she was about to say something else, I tossed the toothpick onto the table. I stood up leisurely. All right. The boss has spoken. Let's talk outside. It's too greasy in here. It's affecting my thinking. After saying that, I didn't care about Yang Mi's reaction. I walked towards the terrace outside the restaurant by myself. Yang Mi watched my retreating back, acting like a carefree boss. A breath of anger was stuck in her chest, unable to go up or down. In the end, she still picked up her phone, stood up, and followed. On the terrace, the sea breeze blew gently. The salty, moist, yet fresh scent instantly blew away the frustration from the restaurant. Like a cat that had found the most comfortable position, I lay down flat on the large rattan chair in the middle of the terrace. With both hands behind my head, I basked in the sun. Yang Mi stood next to me, looking at my demeanor that suggested even if the sky fell, it would have nothing to do with me. The anger she had just suppressed flared up again. But she knew now was not the time to get angry. She lit up her phone screen and held it in front of me, as if to materialize all the pressure and trouble for me to see. CEO Zhang's call, Na Ying's call, all the company's shareholders, and also the artists under me. They're all going crazy now. Outside, dozens of media outlets are surrounding us. The copyright fees that the music platforms are offering have already reached 8 figures, and it's still rising. She pulled her phone back. Her voice was filled with uncontrollable frustration and helplessness. Like spilling beans, she poured out all the difficulties she was facing. Now everyone wants to know who the author of Xiao Chou is, whether this song is for sale, and where on earth you came from. After she finished speaking, she stared at the man lying on the chair with his eyes closed. Finally, she combined all her questions into one. What are you going to do? I didn't even open my eyes, lazily uttering 2 words. Ignore it. Yang Mi's fists clenched instantly. Just before she exploded, I spoke again leisurely. But I can give you an idea. But let me say this first. I don't do troublesome things. I only move my mouth. All the legwork and execution is on you. Yang Mi was so angry she wanted to laugh. These words made it sound as if I were the busy boss with 1,000 tasks. But she still managed to hold it in. She squeezed out 1 word from between her teeth. Speak. Only then did I satisfyingly adjust my position. I raised a finger and swayed it gently in the morning sun. This song, Jiao Chao, is a gift for you. Yang Mi froze on the spot. A gift for me? It seemed I could read her mind. I continued in a steady tone. Yes, a gift for you. How you use the copyright profits is all up to you. You can sell it, or you can keep it for the company to use. It's up to you. I gave her a lazy glance. The corner of my mouth held a hint of a tease. Just don't bother me with these trivial matters. I just want to be a salted fish in peace and quiet. Yang Miss Mind buzzed. She was completely stunned. A song worth tens of millions, and I had just casually tossed it to her like a gift. Her mind was full of ways to negotiate terms with me, how to maximize the benefits of this song. But I, on the other hand, acted like I was getting rid of a hot potato, throwing this whole mountain of gold directly at her. Before she could recover from the shock, I raised my second finger. Second, have your PR team issue a statement. Just say that I am your exclusive producer. From now on, I will only write music for you and the artists under Wang Yu. Any other company or person, all commercial collaborations will be declined. I clicked my tongue, giving a reason that made Yang Mi not know whether to laugh or cry. This way, it elevates your status as the boss, and also cuts off any ideas from outsiders. One and done. From now on, no one will disturb my sleep anymore. For the sake of a good night's sleep, he directly cut off all external paths to wealth. Yang Mi felt that her worldview was being shattered bit by this man. I was clearly playing dirty, but behind that shamelessness was hidden a commercial wisdom of the highest level and a favor that made her heart warm. A favor. Third. My third finger also went up. As for those chirping little girls under you, I can't just let them call me brother-in-law for nothing. Sometime when it's convenient, I'll write them a few songs, guaranteed to make them famous instantly. From handling the copyright to guiding public opinion, and then to the future plans for the company's newcomers, every point hit Yang Mi right in the heart. Not only did it solve all the immediate troubles, but it also paved a path for her. For the entire company, a path leading to even greater heights, and there was that feeling of exclusivity, reserved only for her, hidden under the ridiculous reason of wanting to sleep. Yang Mi stood there. The sea breeze made her eyes sting a little. She looked at the man on the chair. I still had my eyes closed, as if I had just casually mentioned a few insignificant things. At this moment, my image in her eyes had been completely overturned. After a long moment, Yang Mi finally found her voice again. She didn't stand anymore, but sat down on the empty chair next to me. She tilted her head, looking at my sharp profile under the sun. Her throat was a little dry. Lin. Ex-son. That agreement of ours. She paused for a moment, seeming to search for the right word. Isn't it a bit ridiculous? This was the first time she had taken the initiative to question the black and white agreement between them. The cold contract she had once been proud of, used to maintain a safe distance. The moment she finished speaking, I finally opened my eyes. I turned my head, looking at Yang Mi with an expression of pure astonishment, as if I had heard the most unbelievable thing in the world. Ridiculous. How is it ridiculous? I asked back eloquently. I think it's great. It's in black and white. Rights and responsibilities are clear. Very much in the spirit of a contract. Look, I am in charge of being as beautiful as a flower and cooking. You're in charge of earning money to support the family. What a perfect partnership model. Yang Mi was stunned by my absurd reasoning. Immediately after, my actions left her completely bewildered. I suddenly sat up from the chair and lunged towards her. My handsome face was magnified, just inches from hers. My eyes were filled with vigilance and seriousness. Boss, you're not thinking of withholding my allowance, are you? My expression was extremely serious. My tone exuded a sense of solemnity. Let me tell you, anything else is negotiable. The allowance is the foundation of this partnership. If this foundation is shaken, our partnership cannot continue. Yang Mi's brain froze for 3 seconds. All the warmth, emotion, and admiration that had just begun to sprout in this very moment was shattered by my outrageous statement. She looked at the man in front of her, both embarrassed and angry. In the end, she couldn't help it and burst out laughing. She raised her fist and gently punched my shoulder. Who wants to withhold your money, you money grubber? I chuckled, not dodging, and instead took the opportunity to grab her incoming fist. Yang Mi's body stiffened. She tried to pull her hand back, but I held it even tighter. She struggled a few times, then let me be. Neither of them mentioned the word agreement again. But that cold agreement, full of clauses, at this moment, existed in name only. Back in the living room, the live stream cameras once again enveloped them. The pink flush on Yang Mi's cheeks had not yet faded. Half was from the sea breeze, and half was from being teased by me. She picked up the half-cool glass of water on the table, about to take a sip, when a hand reached out. It very naturally took the glass of water from her hand. Under Yang Mi's astonished gaze, I tilted my head back and drank the rest of the water in the glass. My Adam's apple bobbed. My posture was casual. Yang Mi's cheeks instantly grew hot, both embarrassed and annoyed. This bastard, in front of the whole country. In the end, she could only glare at me fiercely. She turned her head away in embarrassed frustration, but the rims of her ears disobediently turned red. This scene was captured perfectly by the HD cameras. The style of discussion about Xiao Chou in the live stream chat suddenly changed. Holy crap. Am I seeing things? Brother Xyun drank straight from the queen's glass. An indirect kiss. This is an indirect kiss. Ah. I am going crazy. Brothers, if you know, you know. Something definitely happened last night. The family's status reversed overnight. Just as the comments were frantically shipping them, at 2 p.m., The director's team appeared on time and handed out a new mission card. Music is a bridge that connects souls, and also a healing medicine. This afternoon, we invite the couples to go to the High-Xing Autism Rehabilitation Center on the outskirts. Use your music and love to accompany the children there and spend a warm afternoon. As soon as the mission content was announced, I, who had just been feeling smug, flopped onto the sofa with a thud. A salted fish roar echoed through the living room. Ah, I have to work again. And it's an off-site trip. So annoying. I closed my eyes, my face screaming, leave me alone. Let me rot. The other guest couples had already started discussing what instruments to bring and what clothes to wear. Only I remained motionless. Yang Mi walked up to me, looking down from above. She didn't say anything. She just looked at me quietly like that. Her gaze was as cold as ice, clearly writing a sentence. I dare you not to go. My eyelids trembled on the sofa. Feeling the familiar sense of oppression, I was startled. I shot up from the sofa. A bright, fake smile instantly appeared on my face. The boss is right. Being able to contribute to a public welfare cause is the sacred and undeniable responsibility of our younger generation. I've been ready for a long time. When do we leave? This speed of changing faces was so fast the camera almost couldn't keep up. In the living room, Liu Yi and Guo Tao both couldn't help but laugh, turning their heads to snicker. The live stream chat was laughing like crazy. Ha ha ha. Brother Exun's survival instinct is carved into his DNA. The family hierarchy is as clear as day. 1 second he's the king of the world, the next second, whatever the boss says is right. This is how a real married couple acts. I love watching this. Half an hour later, the entire group arrived at the High-Xing Autism Rehabilitation Center. The rehabilitation center wasn't large, but it was very clean. The air was filled with a cautious tranquility. Faced with a group of strangers suddenly barging in, along with a bunch of cold cameras, the dozen or so children in the activity room all showed shyness and resistance. Some clung tightly to the teacher's clothes, hiding their faces behind her. Some hugged an old doll, huddled in the farthest corner, looking at everyone with wary eyes. And some were lost in their own worlds, showing no reaction to the outside world. The scene fell into an awkward silence. Liu Yi cleared his throat, trying to use his magnetic voice to gently tell a fairy tale. But the children didn't react. Guo Tao brought out his best comedic skills, making a few funny faces. He even disregarded his image and imitated a gorilla walking. Only one child glanced at him, then indifferently lowered his head again. Cai Jing, forced to come along by public pressure, reluctantly sang a cappella, a children's song, with a cheerful rhythm. His voice was good, but it was like singing to the air. Yang Mi looked at this heartbreaking and helpless scene, her brows furrowed tightly. Just when everyone was at a loss, I sighed softly in the corner. Then I slowly unzipped my old backpack. Under everyone's curious gazes, I took out something from inside that no one expected. A small harmonica, shimmering with a fluorescent glow. I didn't go into the middle of the crowd. Instead, I casually found a step in the corner and sat down. I didn't say anything, just placed the small harmonica to my lips and closed my eyes. The next second, a melody like a stream in a mountain gorge flowed from the harmonica. It was a simple, clear melody, but it was ethereal and melodious. It had no complex techniques, nor any intense emotions. There was only a pure warmth that could soothe the soul. The moment the harmonica sounded, the whole world fell silent. Like a magical, warm current, it flowed into everyone's heart in an instant. The slightly noisy activity room became completely silent. The anxious expressions on the teachers' faces froze. Liu Yi and Guo Tao stopped all their actions, looking towards that corner with disbelief. The most miraculous change happened to the children. Their restless and anxious emotions seemed to have been gently soothed by this harmonica music. 1, 2, 3. The children who had been lost in their own worlds all turned their gazes towards the man, sitting in the corner, playing the harmonica with his eyes closed. In their eyes, there was no longer vigilance and fear, but a pure curiosity that gradually appeared. Suddenly, the shyest little girl from before moved. She slowly raised her head. She looked at me. Her clear eyes, like water, reflected my image. Then, under everyone's bated breath, she let go of the doll she was hugging tightly. She stood up from the ground and, step by step, proactively walked towards me. She walked to my side and stopped, reaching out to gently tug on my shirt hem. This scene stunned all the adults present. The teachers from the rehabilitation center covered their mouths, their eyes instantly turning red. They knew how difficult it was for these children to proactively make contact with a stranger. As for Yang Mi, she was completely stunned. She stared blankly at the man whose shirt was being pulled by the little girl, watched me slowly play the last note, then slowly opened my eyes. I looked down. Seeing the little girl beside me, I wasn't surprised, nor did I shy away. I just gave the little girl a smile that was clear, pure, and indescribably gentle. At that moment, Yang Mi's heart felt like it had been struck by something. The comments, after being silent for a full minute, completely exploded with unprecedented frenzy. I am crying. A grown man like me is crying like an idiot in the office. What kind of divine scene is this? How many more skills does he have that we don't know about? That tune was so beautiful. My heart melted listening to it. Does anyone know what that song is? The focus isn't the song, but the person. Did you guys see the way he looked at that little girl? Oh my god, that's the gentlest gaze I've ever seen. Yang Mi couldn't hear the clamor of the comments. In her world, there was only the man sitting in the corner, and the little girl pulling my shirt. She realized for the first time that the man she had used as a shield for 3 years, I not only possessed world-shaking talent that could overturn the entire industry, but also had the softest and kindest heart. That gentleness wasn't faked. It was a kindness that radiated from the very marrow of his bones. She looked at me, admitting for the first time in her heart, perhaps I fell for him long ago. The sun began to set. Golden light streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, coating the entire activity room in a warm glow. That smile was like a key. In an instant, it pried open the little girl's locked world. My smile had no ingratiation, no acting. It was as pure as the sky after a rain. I didn't stand up. I took the opportunity to sit cross-legged on the floor, completely matching the children's height. I stopped playing the ethereal tune. The harmonica was at my lips. A melody that everyone was extremely familiar with began to play. 2 tigers. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. The simplest children's songs, coming from my harmonica, carried a magic that soothed the soul. The harmonica played at a steady pace, echoing in the activity room. 1, 2. More children huddled in the corner were drawn by this melody. They carefully moved their feet to gather around. They didn't speak, just looked at me with their clear eyes. Like a herd of fawns lured by a flute, the style of comments in the livestream chat completely changed. Holy crap. Even a master has to play children's music to coax kids. This sense of contrast is amazing. What are you laughing at? This scene is so healing. As a real man, my heart melted watching this. Guo Tao's eyes darted around. He winked at Liu Yi. The two of them slipped into the equipment room and dug out some dusty maracas, a tambourine, and a triangle. Guo Tao took the maracas. He shook them while doing a silly Yangi dance. His funny movements made a few of the bolder children laugh. Liu Yi, on the other hand, gave the triangle to a little boy closest to him, giving the boy an encouraging look. The atmosphere immediately warmed up. I stopped playing the harmonica. I began to patiently teach the children to clap to the beat. Listen to my sound. Dum dum dum. That's right. Just like that. You're so good. My voice was very gentle, completely different from the usual lazy, nonchalant salted fish. One child couldn't catch the rhythm and shook the maracas frantically. He was so anxious he was about to cry. I wasn't angry. I reached out and gently patted the boy's head. I smiled and played the melody slower, teaching him again, note by note. Yang Mi watched this scene, and a place in her heart softened. Back at the romantic house, dinner was ready. H. Jing was still absent. Tong Yue just said he had a stomachache and was resting in his room. But the atmosphere at the dinner table was unprecedentedly harmonious. I probably used up too much energy in the afternoon. I personally made sweet and sour pork ribs, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, and stir-fried vegetables. There was also a pot of mushroom soup. Lin Xun, this afternoon, you really opened my eyes. You have a power to turn something rotten into something magical. Liu Yi praised sincerely. Guo Tao nodded repeatedly. That's right. I've never seen those kids get so close to a stranger like that. This kid's got some skills. I was feeling pleased with myself. I was just about to pick up a piece of rib that had the most appealing color to reward myself. But a pair of chopsticks was faster than me. Yang Mi reached out her chopsticks and precisely picked up that piece of rib. She steadily placed it into the bowl in front of me. The dining room fell instantly silent. I was stunned. My chopsticks hovered in midair. I looked at the glistening rib in my bowl, then looked up at Yang Mi beside me, who still maintained a normal expression. My face immediately filled with exaggerated surprise. Boss, is this for me? I pulled the bowl a little closer to me, afraid someone else would snatch it. I haven't done anything to deserve this. Was it because I performed so well this afternoon, making the boss look good in public? Seeing the corner of Yang Mi's mouth twitch up, I immediately pushed my luck. I lowered my voice and asked expectantly, so, that 400,000 allowance that was deducted before, can I have it back? Guo Tao almost spat out his mouthful of soup. Yang Mi's budding tenderness was choked off by my one sentence. She was both angry and amused. In the end, she could only give me an annoyed glance. But that glance no longer had its usual cold and distant look. Amidst the waves in her eyes was a pout and a smile that even she herself didn't realize. Guo Tao and Li Ren watched this scene, revealing the knowing smiles of parents. And this scene was also broadcast across the internet through the live stream cameras. After 3 seconds of silence, the live stream chat completely exploded. Hey, what did I just see? The queen took the initiative to give food to brother Xun. Oh my god, that look. Did you guys see that look? It's overflowing with love. The sweetness level is off the charts. The atmosphere at dinner, thanks to the afternoon's public service activity, became extremely harmonious. Liu Yi and Guo Tao, one glass after another, were all toasting me. His mouth was filled with words of heartfelt admiration. Lin Xun, about this afternoon. I am truly impressed by you. Guo Tao held his wine glass, his expression serious. I've spent my whole life making jokes and making people laugh. I've never seen anyone like you, who didn't have to lift a finger. And yet, Could win people's hearts like that. Liu Yi also nodded. There's something very special about you. I can't quite put it into words, but it's very attractive to others, especially to pure souls. I chuckled. I accepted it all without refusal, not being modest in the slightest. Yang Mi sat to one side. She didn't say much. Just listened quietly. Even she herself didn't realize it. A faint smile was hanging on the corner of her lips. She would occasionally look up. Her gaze would unconsciously fall upon me. Then, as if shocked by electricity, she would quickly look away. The meal came to an end. Guo Dao and Liu Yi. They exchanged a knowing glance. Then Guo Dao suddenly slapped his thigh and stood up. Oh my, this won't do. This wine is starting to get to me. I have to help my wife back to rest. Liu Yi also stood up. He pretended to yawn. You're right. We should get some rest. We still have a task tomorrow. Before leaving, Guo Dao passed behind me. With his back to the camera, he winked at me. He also secretly mouthed good luck. I raised an eyebrow. I responded with a reassuring look. In an instant, only Yang Mi and I were left in the dining room, with no outsiders around. The ambiguity in the air immediately swelled. It was so oppressive, it was hard to breathe. I am going out for some fresh air. Yang Mi felt her cheeks flush slightly. She was the first to stand up. She walked towards the terrace. I said nothing. I picked up the unfinished glass of lemonade from the table, and leisurely followed behind, on the terrace. The moonlight was like water. A gentle sea breeze was blowing. Yang Mi leaned against the railing, looking at the shimmering waves on the distant sea. Her mood was a bit unsettled. I walked to her side. I mimicked her posture and leaned against it too. I handed her the lemonade. Yang Mi reflexively took it. She took a small sip. Then she looked out at the sea. She casually started speaking. The harmonica from this afternoon. When did you learn to play it? I also looked into the distance. My voice, carried away by the sea breeze, sounded a bit ethereal. When I was very young, I think. I lived by the sea as a child. The adults in the family were busy. I had no one to play with, so I would run out to the reef by myself and play the harmonica towards the sea. I played and played until it seemed I wasn't lonely anymore. This story wasn't complicated. It was even a bit cliché, but coming from my mouth, combined with this moonlight and sea breeze, it made Yang Mi's heart ache. She tilted her head to look at my cheekbones. Under the moonlight, my usual nonchalant demeanor had faded quite a bit, leaving only an inescapable loneliness. It turned out this man who was always joking around also had such a lonely past. She suddenly felt that towards me. She had never truly understood me. Back in the bedroom, the atmosphere between the two of them had completely changed. The sword-drawn tension of last night was gone, replaced by an unspoken understanding. You go shower first. I hummed an off-key tune, and was the first to enter the bathroom, leaving the entire bedroom to Yang Mi alone. The sound of rushing water could be heard. Yang Mi stood alone in the middle of the bedroom. Her gaze involuntarily fell upon the large bed. On the bed, the scarf. The Hermes silk scarf used as a dividing line still lay there quietly, like a silent mockery. Her cheeks instantly flushed hot. In her mind was the warm, strong embrace from last night. The image of me this afternoon, sitting on the ground surrounded by the children. The lonely look in my eyes on the terrace just now when I mentioned my childhood. Contract, distance, sense of security. The words she once considered her guiding principles now seemed so ridiculous. What on earth was she guarding against? Yang Mi's breathing became a little ragged. Her chest heaved. She looked at that silk scarf. Her gaze shifted constantly. Finally, in the second before the sound of water in the bathroom stopped, she seemed to have made some kind of decision. Yang Mi quickly walked to the bedside. With one hand, she snatched the expensive silk scarf. Without a second glance, she crumpled it directly into a ball. She turned, opened the wardrobe, and threw it into the deepest corner. After doing all this, she seemed to have exhausted all her strength. Her back leaned against the wardrobe. Her heart pounded. She didn't dare stay outside for long, afraid I would come out and discover her little action. Yang Mi quickly grabbed her pajamas, almost as if fleeing. She rushed into the newly vacant bathroom. Slam. The door was shut. A few seconds later, an instinctive sense of shame belatedly rushed over her. She almost started to struggle reflexively. Her elbow jabbed backward. Her body writhed violently, trying to escape from that fiery embrace, but the iron-like arm on her waist didn't move at all. The more she struggled, the tighter that arm squeezed, like an inescapable iron hoop, pinning her against that sturdy chest. All her resistance became futile. I didn't give her any chance to catch her breath. I buried my face deeper. My scorching breath fell upon the most sensitive area of her neck, making her tremble. My voice was even deeper and huskier than before, carrying an oppressive feeling that was impossible to resist. Why aren't you saying anything, boss? I paused for a moment. My warm breath brushed past her earlobe. Is that a silent agreement? These 3 words were the last straw that broke the camel's back. Yang Mi's psychological defenses completely crumbled. She gave up struggling. Her tense body immediately went limp. Her cheeks were shockingly hot. She made a gesture of surrender. She buried her face tightly in the soft pillow, trying to block out that pervasive breath, also trying to hide her current embarrassment that reddened even her ears. Finally, from within the pillow came a muffled, resentful sound. You bastard. This bastard had no force behind it at all. It was more like she was pouting in her confusion. The corner of my lips quietly turned up. I knew this iceberg had completely melted, but I didn't immediately press my advantage. Instead, I gave her some time to calm down. I relaxed the arm that was holding her. Instead, with a force that was incredibly gentle, I patted her back lightly. That action carried no desire whatsoever, as pure as comforting a startled cat. This sudden gentleness caused Yang Mi's tense nerves to slowly relax. She could feel the warmth from my palm. She still kept her face buried in the pillow, not daring to move. Waiting until her breathing became a little more stable, I leaned down again. This time, I got closer. My lips almost touched her flushed earlobe. Using a whisper that only the two of them could hear, I said with a light laugh, "Since the boss has already agreed, then I'll collect a little interest first." Interest? What interest? Yang Mi's brain was still frozen. She couldn't react in time to the meaning of those words. The next second, she felt a gentle force, but one that allowed no refusal, slowly turning her body, which was buried in the pillow, around. She reflexively squeezed her eyes shut. Her long eyelashes trembled violently from the tension, awaiting the invasive kiss that she imagined might happen. However, the anticipated storm never arrived. A light, warm sensation landed on her smooth forehead, just one touch, like a feather brushing past. Gone in an instant. This kiss was completely different from any kind she had imagined. There was no invasion, no possession, only the purest gentleness and cherish. Yang Mi dazedly opened her eyes. What met her eyes was my face. Just inches away, I was looking down at her. Those eyes that usually held a hint of teasing were now as clear as the night sky after a rain. There was no playfulness inside them, only a seriousness she had never seen before. She looked at me. Her whole body was stunned. Her brain, completely shut down. All the shame and anger after that kiss landed, turned into a hazy blankness. This man, what on earth does he want? I looked at her dazed appearance, kissed into a stupor. The smile in my eyes almost spilled out. I didn't make any other unnecessary moves. I just took the opportunity to pull her into my arms again, adjusting to a comfortable position. Then, as if coaxing a child, my palm continued to pat her back rhythmically. All right, go to sleep. This time, Yang Mi no longer put up any resistance. She was like a small boat that had finally found its harbor, silently curling up in my arms. Her nose was filled with the pleasant scent on my body, waiting until the woman's breathing in my arms became even and long. I opened my eyes again. I lowered my head, thanks to the faint moonlight peeking through the curtain gap. I quietly watched her peaceful sleeping face. Her appearance while sleeping had shed all defenses and camouflage. Gone was the usual high and mighty queenly aura. A faint blush still lingered on her cheeks. The corners of her mouth were slightly turned up, like a child who'd been given candy. I just watched like that for a long time. Finally, I smiled quietly. I lowered my head again and placed on her soft crown a second, unknown kiss. Then I tightened my arms, holding the queen even tighter, who now completely belonged to me and my domain. I contentedly closed my eyes. Tonight, Yang Mi had an unprecedentedly good night's sleep. No dreams, no tossing and turning. The chest behind her was a source of stability and warmth, like the most solid harbor. When the first ray of morning sun passed through the gap in the curtains and shone on her face, Yang Mi's long eyelashes trembled. Consciousness returned, but she lay lazily in that warm embrace, not wanting to move at all. For the past 3 years, for the first time, she knew what it felt like to sleep until she woke up naturally. Actually, I had been awake for a long time, looking down at the woman sleeping peacefully in my arms. The curve at the corner of my mouth never flattened. When she slept without any defenses, the queen's usual thorns were all retracted. As docile as a cat, seeing her eyelashes tremble as she was about to wake, I suddenly felt the urge to tease her. I quietly lowered my head. My warm lips gently placed a kiss on her smooth, full forehead. At that very moment, Yang Mi opened her eyes. As soon as she opened them, she was face to face with me. My eyes were filled with a teasing smile. 4 eyes met. The air froze for a second. Yang Mi's brain immediately understood what had just happened. A wave of heat rushed from her neck straight to the top of her head. Her cheeks flushed red at a visible speed. She was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Both embarrassed and angry, she pushed me away. Her body shrank towards the edge of the bed. Who said you could kiss me? The moment she said it, she herself was stunned. It was so soft, without a trace of threat. It sounded more like she was pouting. I wasn't angry about being pushed away. Instead, I casually leaned back against the bed, my hands behind my head. I am kissing my wife. That's perfectly normal. It's protected by law. I looked at her flushed earlobes and changed the subject. Besides, didn't I already collect interest last night? This is called interest on interest. In short, compound interest, just rounding up a bit. It's very reasonable. Yang Mi was rendered speechless by my twisted logic, choked up to the point she couldn't say a word. Reasonable? My ass. She was both embarrassed and angry. She decisively turned around, facing me with her back. Her shoulders were slightly tense, using silent resistance to declare her surrender. This scene was captured by the early rising camera in the corner of the bedroom, live streamed without missing a single detail. The audience who had just flooded into the live stream room. After a brief moment of silence, the comments erupted like a volcano. What did I just see? It's a good morning kiss. A real good morning kiss. Holy crap, they got caught red-handed. Look at the queen's reaction. Her face is completely red. Her embarrassed look is so adorable. The atmosphere at the breakfast table was sweet. I was still the chef. Fried eggs, hot milk, toast. Everything was in order. It's just that today, the way Liu Yi and Guo Dao looked at the two of them carried an I've seen it all expression, but I didn't say anything teasing. Yang Mi picked up her glass of milk, taking small sips. Her gaze was distant. She just didn't dare to look anyone in the eye. She drank a little too quickly. A white milk mustache appeared on her full lips. She hadn't even realized it herself. Just as she was about to reach for a napkin, a hand reached over. I leaned over, extremely naturally. My warm thumb gently wiped her lips, wiping away the remaining milk stain. The whole movement was quick and intimate, without a hint of hesitation. Afterward, I even wiggled my finger in front of her, as if showing off my prize. Yang Mi's whole body stiffened. Her cheeks grew hot again. She shot me a blushing glare, but she didn't pull away. Guo Dao saw this scene, and let out an exaggerated ooh la la. He covered his eyes. He shouted to his wife. Li ran. Honey, quick, come help me. My old eyes can't take it anymore. I am about to be blinded. He pounded his chest. His expression, one of utter agony, showing off like this so early in the morning. Utterly shameless, truly shameless. The dining room immediately filled with good-natured laughter. Lai Ran couldn't stop laughing at his antics. She gave him a light smack. I heard the compliment, and raised my eyebrows smugly. I placed the sunny-side-up egg that was cooked most beautifully into Yang Mi's bowl. Only then did I leisurely say to Guo Dao, Teacher Guo Dao, this is something you don't understand. I put on an air of let me teach you how to live. A wife must be spoiled like a little princess. Think about it. If she's happy and finds me pleasing to the eye, then I can get my allowance for this month peacefully, right? This once again caused a huge burst of laughter. Yang Mi was just about to retort, but looking at the perfect sunny-side-up egg in her bowl, the words on the tip of her tongue were swallowed back down. She just lowered her head and gently poked the yolk with her spoon. A small curve appeared at the corner of her lips. The comments on the live stream also completely exploded. I've learned it. I've learned it. The ultimate secret to spoiling your wife is for the allowance. Brother Exun has enlightened us. Is this really a freeloader? This is a love strategist. I shall call him the strongest live-in son-in-law. Just as the dining room was filled with boisterous laughter, Yang Mi's phone on the table vibrated. It was a message from Assistant Xiao Chen. Sister Mi, the company's official announcement has been posted. The promotions we bought are also in place. It's currently #1 on the hot search. The smile on Yang Mi's face faded slightly when she saw the message. The 5 words, exclusive producer, like a brand, carried an undeniable dominance. She opened the news. What met her eyes was the official announcement. With the meticulous wording of Wang Yu Entertainment, it announced my identity to the world. In an irrefutable way, Yang Mi looked up. Emotions swirled in her eyes. She looked deeply at me, who was sitting opposite her. Sensing her gaze, I looked up and smiled at her. My eyes were bright and innocent. What are you looking at me for? Is there rice on my face? Looking at my appearance, Yang Mi suddenly felt the slight annoyance in her heart from being schemed against vanish instantly. This man had used a method she previously couldn't understand at all, and even looked down upon, to tie her and me tightly together. And this time, she found that not only did she not resist, but she actually found it quite normal. There was even a hint of secret sweetness. Just after breakfast, Liu Yi and Guo Dao tactfully slipped away, leaving space for this cheesy couple. I contentedly sprawled out on the living room sofa, my 2 feet propped up on the coffee table, striking a pose ready to lie dead until the end of time. Yang Mi sat on the single sofa, quietly scrolling through her phone. Suddenly, her beautiful eyebrows furrowed. On the phone screen, a group chat named Song Demanding Suicide Squad was frantically flashing 99 plus. Dili, Re-Ba said, Sister Mi, where's my song? Where's the song that Brother Exun promised? Zhu Xu Dan was not to be outdone, lining up for a song +1. If I don't get a new song, the fans will think I've retired. Save me. Seeing the artists under her continuously bombarding her, Yang Mi put her phone down. Her gaze shot straight towards the lazy, salted fish on the sofa. She stood up and walked in front of me. Her shadow from above enveloped me. You've eaten your fill, drank your fill. Time to get to work. Her voice had returned to the coldness of CEO Wang Yu. The songs you promised to write for my 3 treasures. The drafts are due today. I didn't even lift my eyelids. I closed my eyes and played dead. I mumbled lazily. 3 songs. Leader, you're extorting me. Writing music is an art. It needs inspiration. How can you just produce it on demand like a chicken laying eggs? I shifted to a more comfortable position and continued muttering. I have to dig through my old drafts, see if there's anything suitable. This can't be rushed. It's troublesome, right? Yang Mi crossed her arms and let out a cold laugh. She bent down, her full, red lips close to my ear. Her warm breath tickled my ear. If you can't find them today, I don't mind letting you experience tonight what real trouble is. This threat was more effective than any stimulant. I was instantly revived to full health. I shot up from the sofa in a flash. My back doesn't hurt anymore. My legs aren't tired anymore. My face was filled with righteous spirit. To dedicate myself to the company is my undeniable responsibility as the exclusive producer. I pounded my chest and said with absolute certainty, a song library is like water in a sponge. You just have to squeeze a little and it'll come out. Where's the music room? Lead the way. This face turn made the Guo Dao couple, who were pretending to admire the scenery, not far away, almost burst out laughing. The live stream comments turned into a sea of joy. Ha ha ha. Brother Xion's survival instinct is etched into his very bones. What is this real trouble? Give us the details. I am willing to pay to see it. In the villa's professional music room, the soundproofing was excellent. I was escorted in by Yang Mi, without any awareness of being a prisoner. On the contrary, I was like a big boss on an inspection tour. This chair won't do. It's too hard. It'll affect my inspiration. The lights are too bright. Turn off the main light. Turn on that floor lamp. I am thirsty. I want to eat a tangerine. Yang Mi suppressed the urge to hit me. She adjusted everything for me. Finally, she resignedly picked up a tangerine. Peeling it segment by segment, she brought it to my mouth. I opened my mouth and ate it nonchalantly. Only then did I slowly pick up the blank sheet music and pencil on the table. I didn't write immediately. Instead, I leaned back in the chair and closed my eyes. My long, slender fingers unconsciously tapped on the table, a pensive expression, as if lost in thought. Yang Mi stood beside me, watching me put on a show. She wanted to see what kind of trick my so-called old drafts could produce. A few minutes later, my tapping fingers stopped, as if I had caught something. I suddenly opened my eyes. I picked up the pencil. My gaze fell on the sheet music. The next second, the pencil tip flew across the paper. That speed didn't look like composing at all. No pauses. No corrections. No hesitation. It was more like copying a blueprint that already existed in my head. 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. I stopped writing. I pushed the first sheet, now filled with notes, over to her. The gesture was as casual as handing in a class test. Done. This one is called Bubble. Wrote it a while ago. Give it to Daily Rabat. Her vocal quality is okay for it. I yawned and added languidly, tell her, if she can't sing with the feeling of loving someone to death and back, then don't bother singing it. It'd be a waste of my song. Yang Mi took the sheet music. Her fingertips were a bit cold. Bubble. Without further ado, let's enjoy it together. Before she could recover from the shock, I had already picked up the second sheet of music, repeating the previous action, closing my eyes to recall, opening them to write like the wind. Another 10 minutes. The second song was finished. This one is called Chilling, also an old draft. I pushed the music sheet over. It's an ancient style with opera vocals. Tells Zhu Xu Dan to practice her posture and vocals. This song isn't easy to sing, but if she sings it well, it'll be enough for her to live off of for a lifetime. Yang Mi was completely speechless. She mechanically took the second sheet music. Her gaze darted between the two sheets, which were in completely different styles. Meanwhile, I had already picked up the third sheet. I even skipped the part of pretending to recall. I just wrote. The speed was still terrifyingly fast. The third 10 minutes. This one is called Itch. Bottom of the barrel stock. For Li Shi, Ru Yi, I placed the third sheet music next to the previous two. The melody is a bit flirtatious. Tell her to practice her gaze more in the mirror. Remember, don't sing it to be slutty. Sing it to be seductive. Those are two different realms. Half an hour. 3 songs. A sad urban love song. A grand historical opera piece. An extremely seductive song. 3 pieces of music in completely different styles. But just by looking at the sheet music, one could feel the terrifying quality of these blockbuster hits. They were neatly arranged in front of Yang Mi. She was completely stunned. What kind of divine song library did he have? Any one of these songs was enough to make a singer an overnight sensation, but I produced them as easily as casually carrying 3 cases of mineral water from my own warehouse. The audience in the live stream room, through their screens, could also feel Yang Mi's shock. The comments were in chaos. Holy crap, I don't know what to say anymore. Half an hour. 3 theme songs. You call this digging through old drafts? This is copying. After finishing all this, I stretched lazily and slumped back into the chair. My expression was one of complete exhaustion. Done. 3 songs, 1 for each. Fair and square, leader. My allowance for this month. Yang Mi wasn't listening to my words anymore. The first thing she did after snapping out of it was to take out her phone. She carefully took photos of the 3 music sheets from different angles and immediately sent them to the company's music director, Wang Hai. 5 minutes later, Yang Mi's phone vibrated wildly. The caller was Wang Hai. She answered and put it on speaker. As soon as the call connected, an excited male voice, cracking with emotion, came from the receiver. CEO Yang. CEO Yang, my dearest CEO, are these 3 masterpieces all teacher Lin Xun's old drafts? Oh my god. Did he strike the mother lode of the Chinese music industry with his song library? Oh my god. CEO Yang. I'm begging you, you must tie him down to the company. No, tie him to your bed. The music director was speaking incoherently. Finally, all that was left was a cry from the bottom of his heart. Empty out everything in his head. He's not the god of wealth. He's the living treasure of the Chinese music industry. The aftershocks of that musical storm had not yet faded. The director's team's new task card was presented to everyone. Today's group task. Catching seafood on the beach. Catching seafood? Great. Great. Guo Dao slapped his thigh. His eyes lit up. We're in for a treat tonight. A seafood feast, let me tell you. My hometown is right by the sea. I am an expert at this. Tong Yue had a hopeful expression. She secretly tugged on the hem of Kei Jing's shirt. In her mind, she pictured the two of them, romantically collecting seashells on a sunset beach. Even on the always calm face of Liu Yi, there was a rare hint of anticipation. Seeing it as a decent way to relax, there was only one person, whose style was different. I had used up all my energy in the music room. Now I was lying flat on my back on the sofa, limbs spread out, like a dried corpse. Hearing the two words catch seafood, my whole face wrinkled up like a bitter melon, as if hearing devastating news. I am not going. I closed my eyes. My voice was as weak as a deflating balloon. The sun is so harsh. Get a sunburn. If I get a sunburn, I won't be handsome anymore. It'll affect your company's image. I said this with great conviction, without a hint of shame. Yang Mi stood before me with her arms crossed, looking down at me, playing dead. She wasn't angry. She just bent down. Her full, red lips close to my ear, whispering a sentence only the two of us could hear. Tonight's seafood feast. Do you want to eat oysters grilled by my own hands? The corpse on the sofa immediately reacted. The tips of my ears twitched. The next second, I suddenly opened my eyes and sat up. The movement was so fast it was as if there was a spring under my butt. Contributing to the group's dinner is the undeniable responsibility of our generation, I said with a righteous expression. The switch was seamless, as if the person who was just throwing a tantrum never existed at all. Let's go, let's set off. The live stream comments were once again stunned by this flawless face turn. As soon as the queen makes a move, you know, it's a done deal. One sentence cured the dried salted fish. Oysters grilled by her own hands. What kind of suggestive words are these? Why am I getting a different vibe from this? Brother Exxon's status in the family is just like the tide when catching seafood. Sometimes high, sometimes low. Half an hour later, as soon as they arrived at the beach, Guo Tao started shouting. He pioneered the charge towards a flat-looking patch of wetland. Watch me. There's definitely a big catch here. The moment he finished speaking, he let out a squelch. One leg sank straight into the mud, past his knee. The smile on Guo Tao's face froze. He wanted to pull his leg out, but he found the suction of the mud was too strong. He couldn't move. He had to use his other leg for support. Striking a pose, a comical golden rooster stands on one leg. Hey, old Guo, what new kung fu are you practicing? The one-legged crab? His wife Lai Ran laughed mercilessly from behind him. She even took out her phone. Don't move. Let me take a picture of you for my social media. In the end, it was Liu Yi who walked over with a smile. He grabbed Guo Tao's arm and pulled hard. With a deep thwomp, like pulling up a giant radish, Guo Tao's leg came free, but his entire pant leg and shoe were covered in black mud. It was a complete mess, causing everyone to burst out laughing. With Guo Tao as an example, everyone became more careful. Liu's luck wasn't bad. He noticed some movement under a large reef rock. He excitedly waved everyone over. He carefully moved the rock away. Sure enough, a crab the size of a palm was menacingly waving its large claws. Got it. Tonight's main course is settled. Liu Yi had a smug look on his face. He reached out to grab the crab's shell. But that crab was extremely fierce. It twisted its body. A large claw clamped onto his index finger like lightning. Ah, a tragic cry echoed across the beach. This tough best actor who had won countless major awards was in so much pain that his face turned pale, tears welling up in his eyes. He frantically waved his other hand, trying to shake off that seafood assassin. The scene was both pitiable and hilarious to watch. On the other side, Xi Jing avoided the mud and seawater the entire time, afraid of getting his expensive clothes dirty. He saw a beautiful starfish and wanted to pick it up to give to Tong Yu. To salvage a bit of his romantic idol image, he carefully reached out his hand. As a result, a sea anemone was hidden under the starfish. When disturbed, it suddenly retracted. Cai Jing was so scared he jumped 3 feet in the air on the spot. His idol persona completely shattered, making Tong Yue want to laugh but not daring to. Just as everyone was in a flurry, all sorts of situations were happening. Over with me and Yang Mi. It was a peaceful scene. I was holding a large umbrella, strolling with Yang Mi in the shallowest water with the cleanest sand. The two of us weren't concerned with quantity. We only bent down occasionally to pick up some small seashells and sea snails that looked especially beautiful washed up by the waves. I dug a pitch-black, spiky sea urchin out of the sand and presented it to Yang Mi as if it were a treasure. Look, sea urchin sashimi. Yang Mi was startled by its ferocious appearance. She subconsciously took a step back, Then she found it amusing. She reached out and gave my arm a light, reproachful tap. This scene was quietly captured by Anna's camera. As it turns out, the ones with real fighting power were the two quiet wives. Lai, Ran, and Anna weren't affected by their husbands. They focused on searching the reef area. Unexpectedly, they actually found a cluster of plump mussels and some small oysters, becoming the undisputed main force of the day. On the way back, everyone unexpectedly found a jellyfish stranded on the beach. It glistened with multicolored light under the sun. Everyone gathered around it like children, curiously observing this beautiful yet dangerous creature. Even I put away the umbrella and squatted down to watch with interest. Liu Yi endured the pain in his finger, and even shared some knowledge about different types of jellyfish with everyone. The atmosphere was harmonious and interesting. Time to inventory the spoils. One bucket contained the heroic crab that had pinched a human hand. The other bucket belonged to Lai, Ran, and Anna. They had found a bunch of mussels and small oysters. Other than that, it was just a pile of miscellaneous sea snails and shells. Guo Tao looked at the pitiful results and sighed. This little amount isn't even enough to fill the gaps between our teeth. My grand seafood feast has gone up in smoke. I stepped forward again, gathering all the beautiful seashells everyone had collected. I poured them onto the table. Who said it's gone up in smoke? If we don't have enough seafood, well, make up for it with accessories. Tonight, I'll use these shells to make decorations for everyone. I guarantee it'll be more beautiful than the seafood. Can you eat seashells? Guo Tao pouted. Yang Mi looked at my utterly serious yet nonsensical appearance. She felt both annoyed and amused. From the pile of shells she had collected, she picked out one with the most perfect shape and the gentlest color, and walked up to me. Without a word, she placed it in my palm. I froze. I lowered my head to look at the shell in my palm. Then I raised my head again to look at Yang Mi. Yang Mi's cheeks grew a little warm, but her gaze didn't waver. I smiled. I immediately treated the shell like a treasure and put it in my pocket. I patted it a few times, afraid it would fall out. On the way back, although the harvest was small, everyone's face was radiant, with smiles. Guo Tao was still perfectly imitating Liu Yes' agonized scream when his hand was pinched, making everyone double over with laughter. As for me, I secretly took that warm shell out of my pocket and rubbed it in my palm over and over, the corners of my mouth constantly turning up. Yang Mi dried her hands, walked over, and glanced at my silly expression. Do you like it? I nodded like a chicken pecking at grain. All right then. Yang Mi crossed her arms and jutted her chin towards the kitchen. In exchange, turn these things into a sumptuous seafood feast. 8 dishes and 1 soup, not one less. The smile on my face froze. Yang Mi looked at me and slowly added, after you're done, I'll tell you what personally grilled oysters really mean. I pointed at the crab, brandishing its claws alone in the bucket, and that pitiful handful of mussels and small oysters, my voice cracking. Boss, can we be reasonable? This is all we have. 8 dishes and 1 soup. Who do you think I am? The god of cookery descended to earth, able to turn stone into gold? Yang Mi was unmoved. She stood there with her arms crossed, her red lips parting slightly. A personally grilled oysters. Her voice wasn't loud, but it scratched the exact itch in my heart. My Adam's apple bobbed. My eyes started to wander, but my mouth still wanted to put up one last struggle. No way. You can't make bricks without straw. This is completely impossible. I need to add a condition. After I'm done, you have to give me a shoulder massage for an hour. You have to stand behind me, full of affection, and say, "Hubby, you're so amazing," 100 times. In your dreams. Yang Mi was so amused by me that she laughed. She gave me a glare, her cheeks blushing. 10 minutes. Tops. Take it or leave it. Deal. I slapped my thigh, afraid she'd change her mind. I agreed instantly. Don't worry, boss. I guarantee the mission will be completed. The comments in the livestream chat completely exploded. Handled him in 10 minutes. The queen is still the queen. Brother Exxon, your calculations are too obvious. Asking for 100 hubby. You're so amazing. How dare you? From business negotiations to household chores, Brother Exxon stands out for daring to think and daring to do. I carried that meager bucket of ingredients and strode majestically into the kitchen. Like a general about to go into battle, the others tacitly understood and didn't disperse. Instead, one by one, they brought over stools and sat in neat rows around the open kitchen's counter. Even Kei Jing and Tong Yue couldn't resist their curiosity and moved closer, preparing to watch a live performance of turning the rotten into the miraculous. I rolled up my sleeves and put on an apron. My entire demeanor suddenly changed. The usual laziness vanished without a trace, replaced by the focus and sharpness of a master. I picked up the only heroic crab, under everyone's gaze, which screamed that even steaming it wouldn't be enough for a bite. I began my divine performance. My wrists moved swiftly. The tools in my hands seemed to have a life of their own. The crab shell was pried off perfectly intact. I used a small spoon to scoop out the crab roe, meticulously scooping the glistening gold into a bowl. I whisked it evenly with the yolks of 2 free-range eggs, covered it with plastic wrap, and placed it directly in the steamer. First dish. Steamed egg with crab roe. Next, I took the crab body and claws. Using small scissors and a long pick, I patiently removed every last fiber of crab meat inside, piling it into a snow-white mountain. Hot wok, cold oil. I added the cold rice to the wok, stir-fried it until fluffy, then poured in the crab meat, sprinkled with scallions, and tossed the wok. The wok-hay aroma of the rice blended with the sweetness of the crab meat. That rich fragrance immediately assaulted everyone's sense of smell. Second dish. Crab meat, fried rice. The remaining crab shell was washed clean. I crushed it with the back of a knife and put it in a pot with a few slices of old ginger, then added water to simmer. Everyone stared as the clear broth gradually came to a boil over the flame, turning an appetizing milky white. Third dish. Crab shell soup. Guo Tao watched with wide eyes and a gaping mouth. His mouth was open wide enough to fit an egg. He voluntarily became the commentator, his voice filled with amazement. "Oh my god, everyone, look at this. He made 3 dishes out of 1 crab. What kind of skill is this? I shall call this the crab's final contribution. It went down with great value." Li ran, slapped him on the back. "You're the only one who talks so much." But her eyes were also filled with astonishment. With similar operations, I processed the other seafood, finally completing the mission. Looking at the dining table full of 8 dishes and 1 soup, everyone was completely won over by this performance of turning the rotten into the miraculous. The livestream chat was directly flooded with spam comments. "I kneel. I am really kneeling. This is NT cooking anymore. This is alchemy. Starfish's blessing. Nice. Brother Exune is a logical genius. I declare this dish the MVP of the night." Yang Mi looked at this sumptuous feast that was practically created from nothing. Then she looked at me with an expression that said, "Hurry up and praise me. I am super amazing." In the depths of her eyes was a pride and a smile that even she herself didn't realize. She stood up. For the first time in front of everyone, she proactively walked to my side. She didn't say, "Hubby, you're so amazing," 100 times. She just reached out her hand and gently wiped away the tiny beads of sweat on my forehead from being busy. This gesture satisfied me more than any praise. I grinned from ear to ear, smiling like a child who had been given the whole world. Yang Mi retracted her fingers and looked into my eyes. She whispered in a voice only the two of us could hear, "You've worked hard." The dinner atmosphere was extremely lively. After 3 rounds of drinks and 5 courses of food, Guo Tao's face was flushed from drinking. Overcome with emotion, he suddenly stood up from his chair. He stumbled towards me with his wine glass. With a thud, he was about to kneel. I was startled and quickly reached out to support him. "What are you doing, Teacher Guo Tao? That's not how you cause a scene." But Guo Tao hugged my thigh tightly, refusing to let go. He cried out with a sobbing voice, "Brother Exon. No, Master Exon, I beg you. Take me as your disciple. I am willing to trade half my appearance fee for one of your meals. Just 1 meal." This performance left everyone stunned. I tried to pull my leg away with a disgusted look on my face, but Guo Tao was hugging too tightly. I had no choice but to look down at his big head and say seriously, "Teacher Guo Tao, I can't do that. Mainly, your aptitude is too poor. I am afraid before I can teach the disciple, the master will starve to death. My rice bowl is more important." Pfft. The whole room burst out laughing. Even Kai Jing, who had been withdrawn the whole time, couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. He almost lost his composure. This god-tier response once again made the livestream chat explode. "Ha ha ha. Brother Exion's thinking is always ahead of human imagination. Guo Tao, I suspect you're mocking me, and I have evidence." Dinner ended in an incredibly happy atmosphere. Liu Yi and Li Ran were very observant. From the left and right, they dragged away Guo Tao, who was still hugging my thigh. Anna smiled and nodded at Yang Mi and me, then followed them. The noisy restaurant instantly became empty, leaving only messy dishes and the lingering smell of food. The sea breeze blew gently. The moonlight on the terrace was just right. I walked over to Yang Mi, rubbing my hands and winking. My expectant expression was just short of writing 5 words. "Come reward me now" on my face. "Boss, was dinner satisfactory? So where's the promised reward?" The 10-minute shoulder massage and the personally grilled oysters. Under the moonlight, Yang Mi's cheeks had a suspicious blush. She didn't say anything. She turned and walked to the grill in a corner of the terrace. Only then did I notice that the charcoal there was still warm. On the grill were 2 freshly grilled oysters, sizzling and steaming, emitting the roasted aroma of minced garlic and sea salt. She had actually taken the opportunity while everyone was eating to secretly prepare them. My heart skipped a beat. Yang Mi picked up an oyster and skillfully pried it open with a small knife. The hot sauce and plump oyster meat were immediately revealed to the air. She didn't hand it over. Instead, she raised her head to meet my burning gaze. Her usually cold and sharp fox-like eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of mist under the moonlight, flowing with a charm that even she herself was unaware of. Under my gaze, Yang Mi brought the plump oyster meat to her lips and gently took half of it between her soft, red lips. Then she tilted her head up slightly, signaling me with her eyes, "Come here. Eat." This invitation didn't have a single word, but it was more fatal than any language. My breath hitched for a moment. I looked at her luscious red lips, so close to mine. I looked at her tense yet provocative eyes. This woman always thought she Was the hunter in control of the whole situation? But she didn't know that every time she cautiously probed, she was unguardedly delivering herself to the mouth of the real hunter. I smiled. I took a step forward, and Yang Miss' astonished gaze. I didn't eat the oyster at all. Instead, I lowered my head and accurately kissed her on the lips. Clang! The oyster slipped from Yang Miss' weakened fingers and fell to the wooden floor, making a crisp sound, shattering this romantic moment. My kiss was domineering and deep, giving her no room to think. After a long moment, I pulled back slightly, about to say something, when Yang Mi suddenly put her hand on my chest to stop me. She looked straight into my eyes. In a voice that was almost a whisper, but perfectly clear, she asked a question that made the blood freeze in my veins. Is the live stream turned off yet? Time seemed to stop. The sound of the wind, the insects, the distant waves. All sound vanished at this moment. The two of us maintained the posture from a second before the kiss, one pushing, one blocking. The atmosphere shifted from ambiguous to strange and tense. My actions paused. After a brief moment of surprise, there was no panic in my eyes, but rather a flash of a triumphant smile. The hunter had set a trap, and the prey not only walked in, but even asked if the trap door was securely shut. I didn't answer. Instead, I lowered my head again, with a deeper and more possessive kiss, swallowing all the questions she hadn't yet had time to ask. At the same time, in the show's production control room, it was a scene of apocalypse. The general director was holding a bowl of freshly made tonkatsu ramen, his eyes glued to the main monitoring screen, which was showing that beautiful and stimulating scene. The noodles in his mouth fell back into the bowl, splashing hot soup onto his face. He didn't have time to wipe it off. He shot up from his chair. His finger pointing at the screen trembled violently. Cut the feed. Damn it, cut the feed for me now. Who's in charge of the terrace camera? Do you want to get fired? Huh. The assistant director and camera directors immediately scrambled. We can't cut. Director. The signal is locked. Tech. Where's the tech team? Pull the plug. A new intern, in shock, started trembling. A full glass of iced Americano spilled all over the control console. Sizzle. A spark flashed, accompanied by a burning smell. Several screens immediately went black. In the control room afterwards, shouts, keyboard clatter, the sound of things falling, and the intern's sobs blended into chaos. But it was all too late. From my first kiss, to Yang Miss' fatal question, and then to my second kiss, which was the finishing blow. These terrifying dozens of seconds had been broadcast across the entire network through tens of millions of streams on the terrace, until the air in Yang Miss' lungs was nearly depleted. I reluctantly pulled back slightly. I looked at the woman before me, and whispered in her ear in a voice only the two of us could hear. It's off now. These few words were like a poison key, instantly unlocking the cage named reason in Yang Miss' brain. She shuddered, suddenly awake. She belatedly realized that the scene just now had really been broadcast live. Line X-on, Yang Mi shoved me away forcefully, and hurriedly took her phone out of her pocket. The moment the screen unlocked, countless notifications and tagged messages flooded in. The phone lagged so badly it froze, and, at the top of that chaos, the #1 spot on Weibo's hot search list. A crimson explosive tag was like a slap, striking her hard across the face. Number. Links in Yan Mikis. It's over. Yang Miss' mind went blank. In the bedroom, the moment the door closed, Yang Mi completely exploded. She was like a cat with its fur on end, cornering me against the wall. Her beautiful fox-like eyes blazed with anger. Lin Exon, you did it on purpose. You knew perfectly well the live stream wasn't off, didn't you? I was pinned against the wall by her, but I had none of the awareness of a prisoner. Instead, I spread my hands, with the innocent expression of a wrongly accused boy next door. Heaven is my witness. How could I have known? Boss, be reasonable. I am just a house husband. All I think about every day is what vegetables to buy and what dishes to cook. How could I understand all your high-tech stuff? My voice was sincere, my eyes clear. I changed my style and started to counterattack. Besides, can you really blame me for this entirely? Weren't you the one who tried to feed me an oyster first? I said, imitating Yang Miss' expression from earlier. Think about it. Such beautiful moonlight. Such a romantic atmosphere. The woman I love was looking at me with that gaze. What man could possibly resist? I couldn't control myself. The more I spoke, the more eloquent I became. Finally, I thumped my chest and concluded. It was just a normal, reasonable reaction from me. I'll give you a reasonable reaction. I'll give you couldn't resist. Yang Mi was rendered speechless by my fallacious arguments. The verbal attack was declared a failure. She angrily switched to a physical attack. Turning around, she grabbed a feather pillow from the bed, swung it around and threw it at my innocent-looking face. I'll give you a physiological reaction. Take this, couldn't control myself. Lin X-son, you bastard. I didn't dodge, letting the soft pillow hit me, still wearing a punchable smile on my face. Just as Yang Mi was out of breath from throwing, I suddenly made my move. I grabbed her wrist and pulled her into my arms. Yang Mi cried out as her whole body fell into my embrace. She struggled symbolically a few times, but finally ran out of strength, letting me hold her tightly like a large doll. The bedroom became quiet. Only the intertwined breaths of the two remained. The pillow lay on the floor. Feathers floated out from a tear, dancing under the light. Yang Mi buried her face in my chest, her voice choked up, carrying a sense of grievance and a nasal tone she herself didn't notice. The whole internet saw it. Let them see it. I held her. My chin gently rubbed the top of her head, a smile in my voice. Perfect timing. Saves me from having to explain later that you are my wife to other people. Yang Mi said nothing. Her hand gripping my shirt tightened a little. Although she was still angry, they both knew clearly in their hearts, from tonight onwards, that 3-year contract, along with all the pretense and probing, would, along with those dozens of seconds of the live stream footage, completely turn to dust. The atmosphere in the bedroom, because of my devilish whisper, at the end, suddenly became tense. Yang Mi was still being held in my arms. She could clearly feel my chest, vibrating gently from a low chuckle. Her mind was still buzzing from that terrifying live stream incident, the name flashing on the phone. Her top agent, Sister Zhang, was like a life-reaping talisman, making her scalp tingle. Answer it. My voice sounded from above her head. If you don't answer, I am afraid she'll fly here from the capital to kill someone. Yang Mi raised her head. Her beautiful fox eyes were still misty, but now a new fire of anger was igniting. She ground her back teeth and accused. It's all your fault. Your fault. I feigned innocence. Boss. Be reasonable. I am the hero who helped you save face after your failed attempt at feeding me. If it weren't for me, the hot search right now would be number Yang Mi rejected trying Tokus. How embarrassing would that be? You're talking nonsense. Yang Mi's chest heaved with anger at my twisted logic. Ring, ring, ring. The phone rang incessantly again. It seemed as if it would ring until morning if she didn't answer. Yang Mi sighed in resignation, slipping out of my embrace. She pressed the answer button, then guiltily put it on speaker. Sister Zhang. Yang Mi. A familiar roar came from the other end of the line. The volume was so loud the entire bedroom seemed to shake. Are you crazy, huh? I just finished helping you establish the mysterious husband persona, preparing to take the aloof, high-class romance route, and you immediately follow up with this kissing on livestream stunt. The woman called Sister Zhang spoke as fast as a Gatling gun, firing on all cylinders. Do you know what time it is? 1 a.m. The entire company's PR team, from the director to the interns, I've dragged every single one of them out of bed for a meeting. 3 servers crashed. You're occupying 7 of the top 10 hot searches. Do you think I have too much hair left? You're taking the mysterious and high-end image we worked so hard to build and slapping it into a love-struck fool. How are we supposed to negotiate endorsement deals and fashion resources now? How do you expect me to explain this to the brands? Yang Mi was being thoroughly chewed out, but didn't dare make a peep. She hung her head low. I stood beside her listening and even nodded, feeling that this Sister Zhang had indeed grasped the main point. And another thing. Sister Zhang's firepower showed no signs of stopping. That Linux Sun guy. What kind of monster is he anyway? Where did you pick him up? One song, Xiao Cho, already blew up the music industry. And now this. Do you really think you're not famous enough? I don't care. Yang Mi, let me tell you, if this isn't handled well, your fashion resources for the next half year will be downgraded. Now, immediately, give me a solution. Otherwise, I am flying to Sanya tomorrow to personally tie you 2 up and bring you back. The roaring on the other end of the line temporarily stopped, leaving only heavy panting. The bedroom was dead silent. Yang Mi gripped the phone tightly. Her palms were sweaty. Her mind was a tangled mess. She could imagine the chaos at the company right now, and she also knew the consequences of handling this poorly, just as she was about to suggest the safest, but also most useless solution of letting it die down quietly. A hand reached out and took the hot potato phone from her. I had sat down next to her at some point. My gossipy expression was gone. All right, Sister Zhang, this is Lin Exun. My voice was very calm, without a trace of tension after being yelled at. Sister Zhang on the other end was clearly stunned for a moment, probably not expecting that I, the main culprit, would dare to personally answer the phone. You're Lin Exun, it's me. I leaned against the headboard, in a relaxed posture. Regarding tonight's matter, I think you should talk to me. Sister Zhang was silent for 2 seconds, seemingly re-evaluating this man. She snorted coldly. Fine. I'd like to hear what our great talent who became a god with one song plans to do to clean up this mess. Mess? I chuckled lightly. Sister Zhang? That's not the right word. In my opinion, this isn't a mess. My voice wasn't loud, but it carried an unquestionable confidence. What do you mean? Sister Zhang's voice was a bit wary. It's simple, I said slowly, like a chess master laying out a strategy. Right now, the entire internet is shipping me and Yang Mi as a couple. The hype is unprecedented. You can't block it even if you try. Any denial or silent treatment will be seen as a heartless move by the capitalists. It will only cause a backlash from fans and the public. So, we have to guide it. In fact, we should add fuel to the fire. What do you want to do? 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. My voice was clear and calm. Have Wang Yu's official Weibo post an announcement. It doesn't need to be long. Just 1 picture and 1 line of text. For the picture, use the moment from tonight's live stream incident when I kissed her. She has her eyes closed, her eyelashes trembling. Get a high-definition screenshot of that frame. The caption is even simpler. 3 years of mystery, 1 answer. Thank you for your blessings. After I finished speaking, both the bedroom and the other end of the line fell into a dead silence. Yang Mi suddenly raised her head to look at me. Are you crazy? This isn't called crisis management. This is called self-destruction. It's directly admitting they've been secretly married for 3 years and completely publicizing their relationship. Sister Zhang on the other end of the line was also holding her breath. As a veteran top agent who had seen it all, 20 years in the entertainment industry, she immediately understood the logic, the madness behind this plan of mine. No explanation, no apologies, no avoidance, but rather, using the strongest posture, the most romantic, the most undeniable, to define the livestream incident as a genuine expression of affection, turning all the negative speculation into a frenzied feast for the couple's fans. This is a huge gamble. Win the bet. Yang Mi's traffic and popularity will reach a new level. Lin Xun will also go from being a mysterious freeloader to completely transform into a deeply affectionate star. The two will become the hottest national couple of the year. Lose the bet. It's deceiving the fans. A shattered image. Doomed beyond redemption. What makes you think the netizens will accept this? After a long while, Sister Zhang finally found her voice again. She asked hoarsely. I smiled. Based on that song, Xiao Chow, based on that meal of 8 dishes and 1 soup, based on the image of those children clinging to my clothes this afternoon, and also based on, I turned my head to look deeply at Yang Mi, who was dazed beside me. My voice softened, based on the look in our eyes that can't be faked, Sister Zhang. You have to believe that the audience's eyes are very sharp. What they want to see has never been a flawless, perfect idol, but a real and moving love story, and we are that story. 9 a.m. the next morning. After a stormy night of public opinion, the official Weibo of Wang Yu Entertainment posted on time the crisis management announcement that I personally directed, a screenshot of the emotional kiss, accompanied by a short but powerful line of text. This post was like a spark that ignited all the dynamite. The comment section exceeded 1 million within 10 minutes. It's officially announced. It's real love. Stamped and approved by the couple themselves. The 3-year mystery has an answer. Oh my god, what is this godly caption? I am shipping them like crazy. I told you, you can't fake the look in their eyes. It must be real. Blessings 99. Does your face sting? Anti-fans, they are a real married couple. All doubts were completely shattered at this moment. 10 a.m. the next day. The live stream room for our romantic getaway had just opened. The number of online viewers skyrocketed at a terrifying speed, breaking the 30 million mark. The comments could no longer be described as dense. It was a dense waterfall of data, covering the entire screen. All the viewers were drawn by last night's earth-shattering livestream incident and the official announcement post that was considered a stroke of genius. They were eager to witness with their own eyes what the lead couple who blew up social media would look like after all the veils of secrecy were lifted in the recording studio. Teacher, he held the script card. The smile on his face was so radiant it nearly overflowed the screen. Friends. His excited voice was even a little cracked. After experiencing an unprecedented live stream incident, our romantic getaway has gone from being a dating show to a beautiful idol drama, followed by the entire nation. Without further ado, let's immediately turn the camera to our lead couple. Cutscene. In the dining room of the romantic getaway, the morning sun was just right. The Liu Yi couple and the Go Tao couple were already seated at the dining table, but the main character of today's breakfast wasn't me, but the 2 phones placed solitarily on the table. Guo Tao, with a dazed expression, stared at the phone screen. Oh my god. I just went to the bathroom for a moment, and the hot search list has changed again. Lai Ran added from the side. Don't even mention it. After what happened last night, even my second aunt, who never goes online, sent me a message, asking if Yang Mi's treasure of a husband has any brothers. Everyone burst out laughing upon hearing this. Just then, the bedroom door opened. I walked out with a big yawn. On the cheeks of Yang Mi, who was walking behind, there was still a faint pink flush that hadn't faded. Morning. Everyone. I greeted them lazily and went straight to the kitchen. What do you want to eat today? Let me see what's in the fridge. Guo Tao immediately teased. Well now. Congratulations on your wedding. I didn't turn around. Just waved my hand. Teacher Guo, what are you talking about? You and Sister Ran are like newlyweds yourselves. Pfft. Guo Tao laughed and scolded. This kid is teasing me again. Yang Mi paid no mind to the men's teasing and sat down at the table, but her slightly flushed earlobes still revealed her mood. Breakfast was quickly served. It's just that today's dining table had an extra, something called dog food, and it was a full meal. I very naturally peeled an egg for Yang Mi, mashed it with a spoon, mixed it with a little soy sauce, and pushed it in front of her. Yang Mi also very naturally picked up the crust of the toast that she didn't like from her plate and put it in my bowl. I didn't say a word, just picked it up and ate it. This series of actions was as smooth as flowing water and drifting clouds. Clearly, it had been repeated countless times. A few days ago, there was still a distance between them called the contract. Today, all layers of disguise had been torn away, leaving only the most authentic daily life. Guo Tao, sitting opposite, grimaced. Theatrically covering his eyes, he shouted to his wife. Li Ran. Honey. Quick. Give me a hand. My old eyes can't take it anymore. I am about to be blinded by these two. He clutched his chest, with an expression of extreme pain. Being this sweet, so early in the morning, do you two really not see us old married couples as outsiders? Where's the director's team? Can we get some compensation for our emotional distress? The dining room immediately filled with good-natured laughter. Lee Ran couldn't stop laughing at his antics and gave him a light slap. She turned to look at me with a smile-filled face. Little Lin, this doting on your wife is truly bone deep, she sighed. If my old Guo was half as thoughtful as you, I'd wake up laughing in my dreams. I heard the compliment and raised my eyebrows smugly. Teacher Guo. He wouldn't understand this. I call this an emotional investment, using a little insignificant labor in exchange for the boss' good mood all day. If she's in a good mood, she won't cut my allowance. This sentence once again caused a big round of laughter, and all these scenes, through the live stream camera, became sweet bullets shot straight into the hearts of the national audience. I can't take it anymore. I am full from all this public affection. When the couple themselves serve the sweetness, it's the most lethal. Is this the daily life of a real married couple? It's too sweet. That unspoken chemistry can't be acted. I declare that for Lin Xun's skill points. Half go to talent, and half go to doting on his wife. The rest is all shamelessness. Just as the dining room was filled with noisy laughter, and the sweet atmosphere was about to overflow the screen, Yang Mi's phone rang. Seeing the caller's name, the smile on her face faded slightly. The golden agent, Sister Zhang. Yang Mi put the call on speaker. Before she could say anything, Sister Zhang's voice came from the other end of the line. But this time, there was no more of last night's roaring. Her attitude had done a 180-degree turn, carrying respect and careful flattery. CEO Yang. Good morning. Teacher Lin Xun. No. Brother-in-law. Is brother-in-law there? Yang Mi suppressed a smile and passed the phone over. I was eating kanji. I reluctantly took it and mumbled a hello. Oh. Brother-in-law. Sister Zhang's voice immediately became 8 degrees more enthusiastic. Did you sleep well last night? Have you had breakfast? Is the weather in Sanya nice? This level of solicitous inquiry left me stunned for a moment. I swallowed the mouthful of kanji before speaking lazily. If you have something to say it. Yes. Okay then. Sister Zhang immediately switched to work mode. Brother-in-law, it's like this. Your crisis management plan from yesterday was truly a stroke of genius. Now, the tide of public opinion across the entire internet has turned. The number of fans in our couple's super topic exceeded the 10 million mark in just one night. Many top luxury brands have proactively reached out, wanting to invite you two to be their global ambassadors. I wanted to ask about the next promotional plan. Do you have any brilliant ideas? After listening, I yawned. Whatever, you guys are the professionals. Just do what needs to be done. I paused for a moment and added a sentence. Just don't bother me. After speaking, I didn't give Sister Zhang a chance to react, and hung up with a click. The dining room fell silent. Guo Tao and Li Yuyi both looked at me as if I were a god, treating a golden agent like a customer service representative, and hanging up so decisively. This guy is truly something else. Yang Mi looked at my lazy expression, as if as long as I wasn't bothered. He didn't care if the earth exploded. She shook her head helplessly. The comments in the livestream room again were stunned by my actions. Ha 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 ha, Brother Xun. Just don't bother me. The brilliant idea is to have no ideas. Sister Zhang. My life is so hard. I've been in the entertainment industry for 20 years, and have never seen an artist's family member this difficult. In the dining room, Guo, Tao, and Liu Yi looked at me. Their eyes held not only admiration, but also a newfound respect. This young man had something that they, who had been in the industry for decades, had never seen. It was a bone-deep, absolute indifference to fame and fortune. It seemed that the things countless people crazily pursued were truly just a hassle in his eyes. This level of transcendence is the highest realm. Yang Mi looked at my lazy jobs done, time to rest expression, and shook her head helplessly. Other people's husbands racked their brains to climb up, wanting fame, wanting money. But her husband was the opposite. Sky-high wealth and fame were served up on a platter. He not only didn't take it, but also complained it was too hot to handle. She picked up the phone I had tossed back, and personally handled the follow-up tasks, replying to the important collaboration offers. As for me, I peacefully enjoyed my post-meal fruit, while also receiving the unending admiration of the two seniors, Guo Tao and Liu Yi. The atmosphere was extremely harmonious. Just then, ding-dong, the villa's doorbell rang unexpectedly. Everyone who was talking paused. The show's director immediately announced through the earpiece, "This wasn't arranged by us. It's an unexpected situation." "Who is it?" Guo Tao stood up curiously. Could it be the boss of some record company, who caught a whiff and chased him all the way here? Yang Mi frowned slightly. She hadn't received any notification either. I popped a grape into my mouth and mumbled, "Whoever it is, if it's not a food delivery, don't open the door." Tong Yue, who was closest to the door, trotted over to open it. The moment the door opened, 3 young and beautiful figures appeared at the door. The girl in the lead was wearing a simple pink t-shirt and jeans, but it couldn't hide her exotic, beautiful features. It was Wang Yu's most popular young actress right now, the Li Riba. Behind her was Zhu Xiu Dan with her classical and gentle demeanor, and Lai Si Rui with her extremely eye-catching long legs. The three golden flowers of Wang Yu had suddenly raided the livestream room. After recognizing the arrivals, the comments immediately exploded. Oh my god, it's Riba. And Zhu Zhu and Ji Rui too. Wang Yu is having a team-building event. Oh my god. These visuals are top tier. Just having these four sit together, I could watch all day. Why do I smell something unusual? They definitely didn't come just to visit the boss. Sister. The moment Li Ribe entered, she hugged Yang Mi tightly. Immediately after, her big, beautiful eyes were glued to the man lounging on the sofa, shining as if she had discovered a treasure. Brother-in-law, we're here. That brother-in-law was both clear and resounding, with a sweetness level that exceeded the limit. The grape in my mouth almost made me choke. Zhu Xiu Dan and Li Si Rui also came forward to greet obediently. Hello, Sister Mi. Hello, Brother Exon. They said they came to visit Yang Mi, carrying big and small bags of gifts, but their gazes were like three headlights, simultaneously locked onto me. Sister, this is the bird's nest we brought for you. You must have been very tired recently. Li Ribe handed an exquisite gift box to Yang Mi. Then, like a magic trick, she took out from another bag a box with extremely cool packaging and thoughtfully presented it to me. Brother-in-law, I had someone bring this back from abroad. For you. The latest PS5 game console. It's a limited edition. I knew you would definitely like it. Her eyes sparkled brightly, filled with the words quickly praise me. My eyes immediately lit up, heart racing, hands trembling. But before I could speak, Zhu Xiu Dan also squeezed forward, holding an antique wooden box. Brother Ixon. This is the Da Hong Pao tea from Wuyi Mountain that my dad has been saving. He specially asked me to bring it for you. I noticed you usually like to drink tea. Let me brew a cup for you to try. Her voice was gentle. Her demeanor was humble. Lai Si Rui wasn't to be outdone either. She went straight behind me, put out her small hands. Teacher Lin Xun, seeing you work so hard for the company. You must be tired. I recently learned Thai. Massage. My technique is very good. Let me massage your shoulders. The three famous young actresses. One offered top-tier equipment. One presented exquisite, fragrant tea. One wanted to provide attentive service. This formation wasn't a set visit. It was clearly like imperial concubines from ancient times, trying every means to win the emperor's favor. And their purpose was self-evident. The audience in the livestream room was already laughing like crazy. Ha 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 ha. This is killing me. What is this? A large-scale palace drama scene. Is this the first episode of The Legend of Wang Yu? Brother Exon is thinking. I just want to lie flat. But my strength won't allow it. This damn charisma. These three girls are so cute. They're really trying their best for a song. This is too much. And I, the emperor, was being hit by sugar-coated bullets. Right now, I was happily enjoying it. On the left was the game console from Li Riba. On the right was the fragrant tea brewed by Zhu Xiu Dan. And behind me was the perfectly pressured massage from Li Si Rui. I leaned back comfortably on the sofa, feeling that this freeloading meal was really worth it. The Liu Yi and Guo Tao couple sat, not far away, watching this amusing play. Their faces were full of irrepressible smiles. Guo Tao even lowered his voice to speak to Liu Yi. See that? This is what you call one song to win the world. All the beauties must bow down. And another main character of this palace drama, the true empress, Yang Mi, was currently sitting on the single sofa, quietly chatting with Anna. She had a polite smile on her face. Her posture was relaxed. It seemed she didn't care at all about the chaotic scene before her. But her eyes, which occasionally glanced in my direction, were growing colder and colder. Anna sensitively noticed the change in atmosphere. She asked in a low voice, in French-accented Chinese, "Mi, aren't you angry?" Yang Mi elegantly took a sip of water. The corners of her lips curled up slightly. Angry? How could I be? They are all employees of my company. Respecting their brother-in-law is the right thing to do. So, she said, but that smile didn't reach her eyes at all. Finally, when Li Shiru's hand was about to slip from my shoulder down to my neck, Yang Mi made her move. She slowly put down her water glass, stood up. Then, with unhurried steps, she walked towards the man surrounded by the girls. Everyone's actions were synchronized. The three young actresses saw their boss approaching and guiltily stopped what they were doing, obediently standing in a row, like elementary school students waiting to be reprimanded by their head teacher. I also opened my eyes, watching Yang Mi walk up to me, still wearing that punchable expression of enjoyment. Yang Mi didn't look at me, nor did she look at the three tense young actresses. She just walked to the front of the sofa. Then, under everyone's watchful eyes, she very naturally sat on my lap. She adjusted her posture slightly to make herself more comfortable. Then she reached out her arms, like a boneless snake, and intimately wrapped them around my neck. After finishing this series of actions, she finally lifted those beautiful, fox-like eyes, looked at the three girls who were completely petrified in front of her, and spoke with a bright smile. Her voice was sickeningly sweet. What are you talking about? So lively. One sentence. One action. She defeated the entire room in an instant. The queen is mighty and domineering. The queen is forever the best. This declaration of sovereignty is so badass. Damn, damn, damn. The lap sitting is a killer move. Is this something I am allowed to watch? Production team. Do you guys have a death wish? The expressions on Daily Ray Ba and the others. Ha ha ha, I am dying of laughter. It's like they've seen a ghost. Even the head teacher doing a dorm inspection isn't this scary. Brother Xun's expression is also brilliant. From enjoying life to pupils shaking in an instant. The troubles of happiness, huh? The main empress is too amazing. One move to defeat the enemy. Little sisters, you should learn from this. All the muscles in my body tensed up immediately. The light and comfortable feeling from before was gone. Only a numb scalp remained. I stiffly met Yang Mi's smiling eyes and squeezed out a smile uglier than crying. Nothing. We weren't talking about anything. Just praising you. The minds of Dai Li Ba and the other two had simultaneously crashed. The atmosphere was suppressed to the point of freezing by the queen's invisible aura. It was still Di Bei who reacted the fastest. Her big, beautiful eyes blinked rapidly. She immediately put on a "we're all good sisters" face with an enthusiastic smile. We weren't saying anything, we were just saying that Sister Mi really has a keen eye. To have found someone like Brother's son, a peerless good man of both talent and virtue, with looks surpassing Pan An's. We were just discussing how to help you keep a close eye on him. Zhu Dan also hurriedly nodded in agreement. Right. We were just expressing our admiration for our brother-in-law. Li Si Rui was even quicker, directly pointing the spear at me. Teacher Lin Xun, look at how you've tired our sister Mi out, to the point where she had to personally come and capture you. When are you finally going to deliver the song you promised us? These words were both a request for a song, and also an indirect way of showing loyalty to Yang Mi. I was held in Yang Mi's embrace. The softness at my waist and the warm breath by my ear made my whole body stiffen. How could I dare to enjoy it in the slightest? I heard these words, and immediately took the opportunity to report my work to Yang Mi. Boss, look. The little sisters are all waiting anxiously. For the sake of the company's grand development plan, for the bright future of Wang Yu, I request to immediately throw myself into the great cause of artistic creation. My righteous declaration made Guo Tao, who was eavesdropping nearby, almost burst out laughing. Yang Mi was very satisfied with my will to survive. She slowly got up from my lap and straightened her skirt, restoring that cold, queenly demeanor. Only the hint of a smile at the corner of her eye couldn't be hidden. Did you hear that? She glanced at the three young actresses still standing at attention. I sent you the sheet music yesterday. Did you understand it? Dili Riba and the other two hurriedly nodded, but then shook their heads a bit shyly. We've seen it. It's just that we feel it's too difficult. There are many parts we don't know how to handle. Dili Riba held up the printed sheet music for Bubble with a troubled expression. Yang Mi looked at me and tilted her chin up. Her meaning was very clear. It was my turn to perform. I let out a sigh of relief, feeling like I had just survived a battle without gunpowder. I stood up and waved to the three girls. Let's go to the music room. I'll give you girls a private lesson on the spot. Consider it a welcome gift for you little sisters. After saying that, I quickly turned around and led the way towards the music room, that swaggering back view. Each step was a beat on the drum of victory. In the music room, I still maintained that big shot posture, sprawled on the most comfortable recording engineer's chair, ordering Yang Mi to bring me tea and pour water. Where's the tangerine? The tangerine from just now wasn't finished yet. Yang Mi shot me a sideways glance, but still resignedly brought in the fruit plate, and even personally peeled half and stuffed it into my mouth. This scene made Guo Tao, who was peeking at the door, shake his head. It's over. It's over. His status in this family is completely gone. Dai Li Riba and the other two were staring wide-eyed at how their own boss was being strictly managed by her husband. They had a whole new understanding. I ate the tangerine, enjoying the queen's service. Only then did I slowly begin the master's public class. I picked up the guitar and first looked at the bubble sheet music in Deli Raba's hands. I strummed and sang a small part of the chorus. For this song, emotion is more important than technique. Your voice has penetrating power, but it lacks a story. When you sing, don't think about showing off your skills. Think about the time you were most painfully deceived. That feeling of your whole world collapsing. What? I then looked at Zhu Xu Dan, who was holding the red actress sheet music with a dazed look. For this song, the opera part is more important than the singing. Go find an opera teacher and study properly. When a single glance from you can make me see a fallen actress of a ruined country, then you can sing this song. Finally, I looked towards Li Si Rui and the song Itch. For this song, the atmosphere is more important than the style. When you can face a mirror and be mesmerized by your own reflection, then you can touch this song. No more useless words. Let's all enjoy it for a bit. This professional, direct, and effortlessly core-hitting guidance not only made the three young actresses listen with fascination, but even Liu Yi and Guo Tao, who were eavesdropping at the door, also showed expressions of amazed admiration. The three girls, as if they had found a treasure, held the sheet music and bowed deeply to me, so excited they were almost speechless. Thank you, brother-in-law. Thank you, brother Xun. Thank you, teacher Lin Xun. After sending the three little students off, the villa finally returned to quiet. I stretched, feeling as if my body had been completely drained of energy and prepared to return to the sofa to continue recharging. Just then, a staff member from the director's team walked in, holding a new mission card. Everyone in the living room gathered around. The director cleared his throat and, in a ceremonial tone, announced the final mission for the Sanya leg. Meeting is fate. Music is the matchmaker. 7 p.m. tomorrow, we invite all couples to the beach in front of the villa to hold a romantic getaway seaside concert together. Each couple needs to prepare a collaborative performance as a gift for all the viewers. As soon as I heard that, my head shook like a rattle drum. I wanted to slip away again, but Yang Mi called me back. She walked to my side, without her previous shyness, nor the queen's imposing aura. She just lifted her head and looked at me with eyes full of expectation and gentleness. Lin Xun. At the concert, let's sing a duet together. This invitation was like a promise. I looked at the light in her eyes, and all the troublesome words I wanted to say got stuck in my throat. I smiled. A duet is fine. But this time, you have to listen to me. This answer was both bossy and intimate. Yang Mi's cheeks grew a little warm, but her heart felt sweet. She let out a soft, implicitly agreeing to this collaboration led by me. At 7 p.m. sharp on the night of the concert, the screen of our romantic getaway livestream had just lit up, and the number of online viewers immediately jumped at a speed so frantic it was visible to the naked eye. The comments in the livestream room were completely insane. They're here. They're here. The X and me CP. Lock them down for me tonight. Teacher Liu, yes, base debut. Witnessing history. On the beach, the production team had spent a large sum of money to build a brightly lit outdoor stage, illuminating the night sea as if it were daytime. The salty sea breeze blew past, carrying waves of heat. Below the stage were the production staff and a few hundred lucky fans selected from all over the country. Every face was filled with fervor. In the studio, Teacher He, dressed in formal wear, his voice trembling uncontrollably. Oh my God. Friends. Can everyone feel it? This enthusiasm that's about to break through the screen. Tonight will surely be a sleepless night. Without further ado, let's all enjoy the romantic getaway seaside concert. It starts now. The first group on stage was the Guo Tao and Li Ran couple. They performed a segment of Aranjuan, which made everyone burst out laughing. The second group was Kai Jing and Tong Yu. After the shock, Cai Jing had calmed down a lot. He didn't choose an upbeat song anymore, but quietly, with Tong Yu, sang a warm love song duet. His singing skills were the same, but his voice no longer had that flashy superficiality, but had a few more parts of sincerity. After finishing the song, he bowed deeply to the camera. Then he looked towards the waiting area at the side of the stage. His voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the noisy venue. Teacher Lin Xun. I was disrespectful in many ways before. I am sorry. This apology stunned the entire audience, followed by thunderous applause. The third group was the Liu Yi and Anna couple. Liu Yi held an acoustic guitar. Anna was in a French-style long dress. The two looked at each other lovingly and sang the French song L'amour en route as a duet. The movie king's voice was deep and charming, while Anna's voice was gentle and sweet. The intoxicating melody expressed French romance to the extreme. The whole audience was captivated. After the three groups' performances, everyone's breathing became heavier. The anticipation was pushed to its peak. The most exciting act is about to begin. In the temporary dressing room backstage, the atmosphere was just as heated. I was wearing a simple white shirt and black trousers. The sleeves were casually rolled up to my elbows, revealing my firm arms. I was half squatting, patiently adjusting the hem of the long, white, flowing dress of Yang Mi. Don't move. My voice was very soft. You'll step on your dress. Do you want to take a fall in front of the whole country? Yang Mi was wearing high heels. Her cheeks were burning hot. She looked down at my focused side profile. Under the lights, my eyelashes were very long, my nose bridge high and straight. The corners of my mouth, usually always teasing, were now pressed together in seriousness. Done. I stood up. My gaze stopped on her V-neck collar. I very naturally reached out and tucked a stray lock of hair that had fallen forward behind her ear. My fingertips accidentally brushed against her warm earlobe. Yang Mi's body trembled slightly. Let me help you with your tie. She said it to hide her reaction, reaching out to fiddle with the non-existent tie on my shirt collar. I let her be, looking down at her, an unconcealable smile in my eyes. I am not wearing a tie. Yang Mi's face flushed bright red. She suddenly wanted to pull her hand back, but I caught it. Are you nervous? I held her slightly damp palm, leaned in, and whispered in her ear. Forgot what I taught you? Just pretend everyone's sitting down. There are radishes and cabbages waiting to be served. Pfft. I made Yang Mi laugh, and her nervousness vanished. You're the radish and cabbage. She shot me a look. The two of them looked at each other and smiled, the air filled with mutual understanding. This scene was fully captured by the follow cam. The comments in the live stream room were immediately flooded with AAAA and so sweet. On stage, Teacher He's voice was cracking with excitement. Friends, I know what you're waiting for. Next, let's use your most fervent applause and screams to welcome Lin Xun and Yang Mi. As soon as he finished, the entire venue completely erupted. The stage lights suddenly shone on the exit. The two of them, bathed in light, walked step by step to the center of the stage. I was leading Yang Mi, my expression calm. Just as I picked up the microphone, the moment the music was about to play, "Teacher," he raised his microphone again. His high-pitched voice announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, there's one more piece of shocking news. Tonight, Lin Sun and Yang Mi will not be singing a cover song, but a song that Lin Sun himself. Within 3 days, composed exclusively for Yang Mi." Boom. The entire venue, and even the livestream room, it was as if a depth charge had been dropped into everyone's minds, exploding in an instant. An original composition. Everyone's eyes immediately focused on me. Those gazes were filled with astonishment, doubt, and a hint of expectation. Under the stage lights, I held the microphone, looking at the sea of people below the stage, then glanced at the stunned Yang Mi beside me. The next second, a light and bright intro played from the speakers, like the first sip of a fizzy drink on a summer afternoon, instantly stimulating everyone's every nerve. I held the microphone, my other hand naturally taking Yang Mi's. Yang Mi's palm was slightly damp, her body a little stiff. I tightened my fingers, enveloping her hand with my warm palm, giving her a reassuring look. Then I began to sing first. The lyrics were simple, with no fancy words, but they were like strawberry hard candies, bursting with sweetness in everyone's heart. The two of them looked at each other, a smile in their eyes that only the other could understand. Yang Mi and I held hands, bowing deeply to the audience. The venue was silent for a full half-minute, followed by applause and screams more fervent than any time before. More than any time before, the cheers and whistles almost seemed to want to blow the roof off the seaside night sky. The comments in the livestream room completely collapsed. "So sweet I could die. I declare that my blood sugar levels would be the responsibility of the X and me couple from now on. Dispelling sorrows is a toast to life. A little sweet is a toast to love. Lin Xun, what kind of deity are you?" "Lin Xun." "Yang Mi, a little sweet." Liu Yi had a gentle smile. The entire network's blood sugar is skyrocketing. 3 keywords swept the trending charts at lightning speed, forcefully climbing to the #1 spot. Yang Mi and I used an original love song on the first day after our official announcement to give all the couple's fans a feast, the grandest and sweetest one. Teacher He and the other MCs walked onto the stage with beaming smiles. The applause was endless. "So sweet. So sweet." Teacher He led the applause, his gaze towards me, and Yang Mi was full of appreciation. "Lin Xun, what is the name of this song? I believe the entire country wants to know." Yang Mi and I looked at each other and smiled. I took the microphone and answered, "A little sweet. It's more than just a little sweet. It's sweet enough to give you cavities." "Teacher," he teased. Another round of good-natured laughter erupted from the audience, but then he suddenly changed the subject. The smile on his face became meaningful. Xun. Xun. We all know that the song Dispelling Sorrows was like a portrait of your past life, both sorrowful and profound. But this song, A Little Sweet, is a completely opposite style. He paused for a moment, his gaze sharpening. He looked directly into my eyes, asking a question that made the whole venue fall silent instantly. "So, we are all very curious. What kind of experience was it exactly that could make you write 2 songs, classics with such polar opposite styles?"